I think so.
I mean, Marshall's not there. They are last year. He doesn't know. He knows that.
I don't know if Michael needs help seating. Do you know if he needs help seating?
No, Doug's not.
Yeah.
I know. I just resent out a new link. I plugged up Mullen's computer, so it looks like the mic's working on this one, but check and make sure.
Can I write on your back?
Mhm.
Do what? Almost. Almost.
Did you sign in?
That working?
I think it's all right.
Shall
There's more.
Oh.
I didn't know the numbers. So I just put pile.
You working?
I think it's 3399.
It is.
Every day I asked you that, and you were like, no idea.
I'm sorry.
You were like, we don't have that.
You asked me?
Yeah, and you were like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like,
Maybe I didn't understand.
I can't tell which girl.
I don't think I understood that.
Somebody's listening.
What do you Facebook?
Yeah, I did try,
but like
2 years. And
I brought Veronic's convention.
I'm telling you, I've been
we can deal with something that's
We're doing calls on the way back.
But that doesn't mean it's not.
It really doesn't with me, but I'm okay with that.
That's actually really I mean, I'm good. Have this. But I like when you feel it. You don't let it out. Yeah. Probably just like intramural stuff.
Did you guys get this?
If one of the sheets is filled, we can pass around the last one.
No? Okay, I think we're done first.
Excellent. Get started and perfect. All right, so guys, how's everybody doing? Good. Excellent. Well, welcome. Everybody has signed in, correct? Perfect. Excellent. All right. And if we have anybody new, actually deploy, let's get CSP signed in. CSP goals too. We'll get Lauren to fill his out. I'm sure he'll love me getting his exact CPO and demo goal for the push. But welcome, guys. I want to introduce myself to everybody kind of formally, officially. My name is Trey Ketchum. My official title here is Division Manager for the Greater Georgia Division. This is what we call the pilot office. There was some question of why do they call this place the pilot office, right? Well, it's pretty simple. This is the test ground for new programs for the division. It's also where I'm the owner and operator, and then I kind of disperse, leadership development training to your managers. In fact, it is an honor and a privilege and a treat to be able to work with your managers on a daily basis, weekly basis. We have monthly events and staff meetings that we'll do, and it really is my favorite part of the job is actually working with your district managers on a consistent basis. They're the pillars of our organization. We also have some of you guys here from branch offices, and as a branch office, they're a satellite location that's opened up for 4 months before they transition with their team into a district organization. So as the pilot office, like I said, it is our expectation and mission that we're able to provide guidance, leadership, really a laboratory for new success, new programs, innovative ideas, and things that are working across the division. So I actually started with the company applying for the exact same position as each of you guys did back in 2001. I started when I was 4 years old, and no, I'm kidding. Actually, I started when I was 18. I was 18, just out of high school. I had a lot of different types of jobs. Some jobs paid okay, gave me a decent income, but shitty experience. I had other jobs where the experience was there, but very little pay. For example, shadowing a cardiologist for a month was great experience for my resume, but not really something that paid anything, right? I mean, literally, I was there 8 hours, 9 hours a day just to get time to shadow, observe, and see if it was something that I wanted to do long term. It was funny. It actually helped me realize I did not want to be in school until I was 32 years old to then do that position. So I'm glad I did it, but it was something where at least, like I said, it gave me some great resume experience, something to be able to put on my my resume. So, and then I had all the normal traditional college kid type jobs, or high school / college kid type jobs. Lifeguard, worked at Subway. I was a sandwich artist, so maybe that's where I got my original start in the knife business was cutting sandwiches. But it was one of those things where when I found Vector, I wasn't looking for a position, and it ended up becoming a career. And it was funny because when I first started with the company, I never thought it would be a career. Literally, I thought it'd be something I would do well enough that summer that maybe I'd come back the following summer. As I started working through my first summer, I realized, this could be a pretty legit college kid job. I consider it almost like a white collar college position, right? So white collar job for a college kid, so to speak. Paid me better than any of my buddies were making, gave me flexibility, gave me real responsibility, helped me to handle rejection and learning and networking and meeting all different types of people. And I found myself on a different learning curve than a lot of my buddies, right? When I finished high school, a lot of us were it was our crew, right? We just got back not too long, about a month ago, I guess. I went to Vegas with a lot of my buddies from high school. And it's funny, the differences that our careers and lives have taken since high school. Some of them are still the exact same. One of them still lives in his parents' basement, which is awesome. 33 years old, living the dream of living in mom and dad's basement. I've got a couple buddies that have got real good career positions with big organizations, Fortune 500 companies. And one of the things that I tend to notice is that a lot of them just don't really enjoy their work. It's a means to an end. It's something where they're like, I live to work versus working to live. See, I actually enjoy my job. I don't consider myself having to work. I can't tell you the last time I counted hours. It was probably when I was working at the bread company right before I started working here. I wasn't paid hourly, so I never really looked at hours. I looked at my results. I looked at my performance. I looked at what really truly mattered, which was the bottom line. And that's ultimately what led me to wanting to run my own business after starting to work here. I didn't initially think it would become a career here, like I said, but I did realize I wanted to work for myself. It was a situation when I was 19 years old, so about a year and a half actually after I started working with the company. Unfortunately, my father passed away, and my dad was a great man, a good friend, had the best jokes, and really understood people. He understood them well. He worked in human resources, worked for a bank for 18 years, and it was the stereotypical 9 to 5 secure, steady job. And if any of your parents, by the way, told you, hey, get a steady job, get a secure job. Anybody heard that since you started this, right? It's very normal, right? When you're new here to hear, oh, you need to find something steady. You need to find something stable, right? Well, my dad had that. And unfortunately, when he was, after being with that steady, quote unquote, stable company for 18 years, they ended up getting bought out by another bank. And because of that, he knew that he was going to have to look for another position somewhere else. And so he passed up promotions, passed up opportunities, took less chance, right? Took less risk in order to be around the family, to make sacrifices for us. And after doing all of that, he ended up not being able to stay with the company, having to move away from his family. It was kind of an unfortunate deal. I was away at college, so I didn't see it firsthand, but my mom and my dad were married for 25 years. And they were together all the time. And yet after 18 years working with the bank, he, in 25 years being married to my mom, he had to move 3 hours away, Monday through Friday, position. And then he would drive back on the weekends. And he would get home, because again, bank hours, Friday done 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. He wouldn't get back to Winston-Salem until about 9 p.m. And then he had to leave Saturday right after church so that he could make it back in time to be there first things Monday morning. And the pressure, I think, killed him. It was unfortunate. He had an aneurysm less than a year after starting to work with this new company. It the strain that it put on him, his blood pressure went through the roof. It was a really shitty situation. And I remember something my dad told me without even knowing that his time was coming to an end was he said, Trey, if you ever really want to be secure, if you ever really, truly want to be stable, yeah, Bobby, it's the same door every day. There you go. But if you ever want to have a secure and steady position, work for yourself, because that's where there really is the most control. That's where there really is the most stability. That's where there really is the most upside growth potential. Doing other things that people won't do when you're young, so that you can have what other people can't have when you're older. And I made a mission at that point in time after he had passed to say, you know what, I was never going to work for anybody but myself. Not in a selfish, self-serving way, but I realized that my number one job was to be a good provider and a good father and a good husband and a good friend. And then the job part came after all that. But if there was a way when I was young that I could set myself up so that by the time I did have a family, I would be able to have the control and the flexibility to do what I wanted. I wanted to be able to coach my kids in basketball and soccer. I wanted to be able to be at all their events. If I have a daughter, I want to be able to attend all of her performances and recitals and everything else that goes there. And I never wanted to be that absentee father. That unfortunately my dad had to be occasionally. He made tons of sacrifices in order to be at events, but there were just some times because he didn't control his own schedule where he just couldn't make it. And so I never wanted to be in that position. I wanted to have the flexibility and freedom to travel. I wanted to have the ability to take a month off if I wanted to during parts of the year to go do something together as a family, which just isn't possible in corporate America in a lot of places until you're at the very, very top. And so what started off as just a random quest to be able to one day run my own business ended up becoming an opportunity here. And it's been a fun ride. I do love this business. I love the company. I love the product. You guys saw me a little bit earlier getting excited about a Cutco Sport or K-Bar Spork, right? I didn't think after I moved away from North Carolina and Bojangles that I would ever give a crap about a Spork ever again. I think they have the market cornered right now on the Spork industry, but I think K-Bar is trying to make a nice little run in with it with their tactical sport. But I will say that when I started working here, it just became one of those things where it was a lot of fun. I love helping and mentoring young professionals, and so that is part of the reason why we had you guys come today. It's not just to help you sell more knives. And yes, we would not bring you out of the field for 4 hours unless we knew that this was going to help you be better at the business, to help you sell more, to help you get more recommendations, to help you take your skill set to another level. But the other reason why we are here is to help you and try to educate you in thinking bigger about your own personal growth in life, and to take your business higher. We've got an amazing agenda today. We've got people coming in from all over. Actually, one of our national sales directors is actually flying in. He should be here within an hour and a half. John Kane, who's arguably the most beloved man in Vector. I think he probably is the most beloved man in Vector. He's going to be here to speak to you guys today. He'll be wrapping things up about tapping into your internal fire and taking your mentality and your mindset higher. We've got Lauren Horton, who has sold more Cutco than maybe this entire room outside of the managers combined. Which is pretty cool. Take out Josh, take out me, take out the managers and assistants. And Lauren has sold $1.3 million worth of Cutco. He also was a manager who was responsible for over $25 million worth of Cutco there as well. So he is somebody who knows a thing or two about selling knives. He's been with the company since 1977. So he is definitely somebody well-versed on how to sell a lot of Cutco. In fact, he's got a lot of the records you see up here, over 40 weeks in a row, over $1,000 in sales. Actually, pretty cool story. He had one appointment where he sold 11 sets on one single demo. So he's going to talk about that. He's had an order over $10,000. He's had push performances at $20,000, $30,000. He's going to be speaking to you guys today. We have Anthony Mercer, who currently, I believe, year to date is the #1 rep in the Georgia division. And I'm not sure exactly where he ranks regionally, but I'm sure he'll probably tell us if he's not floating around here somewhere. But Anthony has been the #1 rep in the division each of the last 2 weeks. He sold over $8,000. The week that ended yesterday. Week before that, he sold $9,500. He does make half what he sells. So he's going to talk to you guys about creating big orders. He had an order earlier this summer. It was $9,000, I think $9,800, something like that. So he's going to show you some things that have helped him put him on pace this year to selling over $300,000 worth of Cutco. So he's going to speak to you guys. Also, Josh Deploy, we're going to have some Q&A with Josh. The thing I love about Josh, he's so unassuming, just kind of chills right there in the back. Some of you guys probably don't realize you're sitting next to a guy who, actually paid his entire way through college at GGC, made over $100,000 as a college kid selling knives, went to North Gwinnett. So we got some North Gwinnett peeps right beside you there. So that's pretty cool. But Josh has actually been, was it 2-time or 3-time All-American? How many? 3. So 3-time All-American. So he's won 3 scholarships as a student. And we're going to have kind of a Q&A session with him here in just a little bit. I think you guys will get a lot out of things like how to do a great presentation, how to incorporate your goals into your demo when you're working with customers. He's also currently our service call coordinator for our division. So if you want to learn how to sell to people that already own Cutco, Josh is a phenomenal person to speak to. He'll be here as well. And then we have Jake Cook, who's our district manager in Macon, Georgia. He's actually our current summer to date #1 district manager here in the division. So both in total business and new business, I believe. So he's going to speak to you guys about that little Mexico trip that we got going on right now and how you can actually earn and win it. And in the meanwhile, what I will show you guys is a schedule and a path, a plan, give you the skill sets that you need in order to help you go out and sell over $10,000 in the next 2 weeks. And you're probably sitting there thinking, man, I haven't sold $10,000 in my career. How in the world am I going to do that in 2 weeks? Well, it doesn't matter. I've had people that have come into a push at $1,500 go out and sell 10 grand. I've had people that have been with the business for 3 and 4 years in some cases and never had a week bigger than 2 grand go out and sell 10 grand in 2 weeks following the program that we're going to teach you today. I had a representative named Cole Forrester. Cole, I know you guys are down in Pensacola. Cole came into to his first SC2 push performance, really having, very good, but not outstanding results. And instead of going out and just having a $10,000 push, went and did something special and amazing and incredible. Sold over $35,000 sold over $35,000 in just 15 days during his SC2 push performance. So he went from being about 15,000 in career sales, selling 35,000 in 15 days. So you guys are going to get some good stuff. Are you ready for a good event?
Yes.
Excellent. So let's go ahead and get rolling, and then we'll get moving. So here's the objectives. If you're taking notes, guys, you want to take a lot of notes. I know it is tempting in today's world of information whenever you need it right away that it's just tempting just to kind of stare and look, right? But you're not going to retain it unless you're taking notes. So. And what I'm going to advise that you do as you're taking notes during this meeting is to actually make sure that at some point later tonight, maybe before you go to bed, sometime late when you're not going to be having any other normal distractions, look through some of them and say, okay, what are some things that I can make sure that I get implemented right away? And then start implementing them. Start implementing some of the skill sets and things that you're going to learn here over the next several hours so that you can apply them and help you make you more successful. So the first couple things is understand the objectives of why you're here or why we had you come here, why your manager said, hey, get here. I know we have a Wednesday night team meeting, but dude, come to another meeting on top of that, right? I know when you started the job, it is a flexible job, but you know what? Your success is flexible too. Meaning you can have as much success as you want depending on how much you want to put into it. If you want to make $6 grand in a week, you can do it. If you want to make $6 in a week, I guess you can do that too, right? Well, I guess it's hard, the base pay, but you can try, right? You can do whatever you want in the job if you want to. If you want to be a bum, you can be a bum. If you want to be an all-star, you can be an all-star. So so the objectives here, one is dramatically increase your Cutco sales. We're going to help you with recommendations today. We're going to help you guys get more appointments. We're going to help you guys get better at sales. We're going to help you guys just increase your internal motivation. Anybody here ever feel unmotivated sometimes? Yeah. It's here. It comes and goes, by the way. You'll have momentary bouts of like energy and excitement. And I got to tell you guys, I was freaking fired up about this meeting today. Last night I got home a little bit late. Went on a run, took my dog out. My dog, gave up on the run. I was like, dude, what lame. He just gave up. I was trying, literally like the last couple of 100 yards, I was just like having to drag him. Finally, I picked him up. I'm like, dude, we're rolling, man. Come on. And so, he gave up. Then I got up this morning with energy and went to the gym. Did a whole back session today. And so, if you see me kind of standing funky or walking weird, that's why. But yeah, so I was fired up. I'm fired up for a couple reasons. I'm fired up because we got you guys here. I'm fired up because one of my best friends in the whole world, period, is coming in to wrap up the meeting. So that's always fun. And I'm excited because of what I know you guys are going to learn over the next couple of hours. So that's first one. Second one is educate you guys on future opportunities. And I'll be honest, guys, if I didn't share what's in it for you, I would be doing you a disservice. Because I know for me, when I was a representative, and I went to meetings, I started to think a little bit bigger about my opportunity. I started in a very small office. In fact, the office I started in was a branch office. I believe the training room, which by the way, did not have, I know this carpet's kind of crappy. The carpet in that training room looked like a war had happened, right? I'm talking, it was nasty. The whole size of the room, I think, for training was probably from about the TV to this wall and ended maybe about where Kayla is. So the third row here. So this was the training room. There was one little office that the manager had in the back. And then you had to walk down the stairs that were kind of uneven, right? And there was always one step. You had to kind of skip it because you thought it was going to break at any time. You just didn't want to be that person that broke it. So, so real legit looking office, right, is what I'm saying. It was, the directions to get to the office was, so go behind the building, around the dumpster, and then the first door on the right? It's like, okay, perfect. So I did not start in a really big organization. Cool fact, though, is that the organization I started in actually is that manager is now one of the most successful managers in the history of the company. His name's Matt King. In fact, when I got promoted, I followed in his footsteps. That was always my objective, was I wanted to be younger to get promoted to division manager than Matt was when he got promoted. I ended up beating him by a few months. He doesn't like to think about that, but it was one of those things where I always sought to try to compete with him, and it's been a fun run the whole way through. I ended up being the best man in his wedding. And he was in my wedding as well, which is pretty cool. So it was a lot of fun to be able to have that experience as a representative. But we want to educate you on future opportunities. And then the third one is to help launch you guys into the SC1 push, okay? And help assemble and corral you to having a monster SC1 push and give you what you need so that you could feel empowered, confident, and ready to go out and have your best 2 weeks of your career. So I want to talk a little bit about what it means to be a part of our division. Our motto here in this division is no excuses, play like a champion. And it's a very simple motto, but one that I think resonates throughout everybody in our division. And that you always, so long as you always take ownership and control of everything that happens in your life, whether or not it's something that you did or could control, if you just take ownership, what ends up happening is it gives you power. It gives you the ability to ultimately impact their trajectory. If you talk to people that are unsuccessful, I'm sure everybody has met and talked to people that are successful and also probably people that are unsuccessful, correct? When you talk to people that are unsuccessful, there's a lot of name pointing or name dropping of people that have done them wrong, right? There's a lot of finger pointing of the blame to other people, but when you talk to people that are super successful, what do? Do they talk about all the people that did them wrong?
No.
Not unless they're Michael Jordan in his Hall of Fame speech, right? But other than him, right, pretty much everybody else, they talk about all the people that helped them. They talk about the positives. They talked about the people that gave them a chance, people that gave them a break. And you know what's funny is that people that are successful, if you actually get time with them, they've a lot of times dealt with more tragedy, in their life than people that are unsuccessful. The reason is because when people become successful, they take adversity and they embrace it and they use it as an opportunity to grow and get better. And they use it as a learning opportunity and not something that's, an obstacle to their success, not a barrier to their ability to become great, And so that's what I'm going to challenge you guys to do, is that when you find adversity, which you will experience adversity, both in this push in general and then in life, instead of looking at it as a negative, look at it as an opportunity to become great. Use it as a test to see how committed you really are to whatever your dreams and aspirations are. Because if you do that, you'll find yourself getting types of and levels of success that are unheard of amongst your peer group. Okay? You'll find yourself getting results that, again, you're not able to get other places. When I think about our division, we're growing tremendously. As a matter of fact, in 2015, our division grew so much that we actually promoted one of our top district managers to run his own division. And now the two divisions combined have gone from, in 2004 rather, doing $1.4 million in business, to 2015 combined to do over $7 million. And this year we're on pace to doing over $8 million between the two divisions. And our goal just for this one division next year is to do over $6 million in business. And for us in the coastal division to combine to do over $10 million. And so where we're going right now, guys, like I said, is to $8 million. And then, like I said, I feel like in 2017, that'll be the year we really break through and get to that $10 million mark between our original division and the newly promoted division in the coastal area. So we are growing tremendously. And what is an advantage of working for a growing company? What are two advantages? What?
Job security.
Yeah, one is job security and advancement. And guys, I will tell you this, there is not a more secure job in the planet than sales. Okay. Now you may look at that and be like, no, I was told completely the opposite. But here's the truth, guys. In the real world, salespeople are the first people hired and the last people fired. Why?
They're the ones that do the business wrong.
They're the one that generate revenue. Okay. All the back end stuff, human resources, HR in general, the operations side, right? That stuff matters. But see, the salespeople are always the last ones let go because they know that that's what generates the business. You've got, in fact, a lot of companies, before they'll even make a product, they'll generate interest, right? That's the whole part of what Indiegogo and the GoFundMe's and all those accounts that people are setting up. It's basically a version of sales, right? And marketing, they're marketing their idea, they're marketing their product, but before they even create it, they're marketing it, right? I'm fired up because Super Troopers 2 is coming out soon, right? And they've got this Indiegogo campaign right now, or GoFundMe campaign or whatever, that's already raised like $4 million. And they keep raising more money by throwing in like new and interesting scenes for the film that they're going to do. And it's like, hey, if we can get to $6 million, we'll get the old police chief back. If we get $7 million, we'll get a nude scene of Farva, which I'm hoping they don't get to that. But they get all these funny and interesting things. So they haven't even made the film yet, but they're selling. Okay. If you have a good background in sales, you'll always, always, always be able to get a great job. Okay? Because that is such a demand. And you know what, guys? In every single facet of your life, there will be an element of sales, no matter what your career is. If anybody has aspirations of being a pastor or a minister, if you don't think that you're going to have to be doing sales, you're out of your mind, right? Because think about it. I'm not talking selling and getting people to donate. I'm not talking about that. You're selling your belief. You're selling the word of God, so to speak, whichever version of it that you believe in, right? Your ability to motivate. One of the best salespeople is right now in the U.S., Joel Osteen. Have you guys seen this guy? I mean, the way he gets up and gives his sermon, I mean, it is a motivational speaker who, just packaged differently, right? If you look at Steve Jobs, right? Rest in peace, right? Steve Jobs was not the most innovative technological wizard, but what he was a marketing genius. Right? Even something as simple as the way that he dressed when he gave his keynote messages, those old beat up, grubby jeans with a black t-shirt, it was part of his plan because it took the focus off of him and put it on what? The product. And everything that he designed was to try to make things simpler, more user-friendly. We'll see, right? But it is one of those things where he was a guru at getting people to buy into his vision. His motto for Apple was not, we want to make a great computer. We want to make an awesome iPhone. We want to make a great cell phone. You need to update or buy a new one every year, right? It wasn't that at all. It was, we want to put a dent in the universe. Right? That's an amazing sales pitch, right? Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg is, again, at first and foremost, an amazing salesperson. And if you don't believe that Mark Zuckerberg is amazing at sales, just look at some of the behind the scenes stuff that they're currently doing in Facebook. I'm fortunate in that a friend of mine I went to high school with is the director of strategic partnerships. So I kind of see a lot of his stuff that he posts on his Facebook account. And his younger brother is actually one of my good friends. And so I'll talk to him a lot. And most people look at Facebook. Some of you guys don't even have Facebook. Some of you guys are like done with Facebook. All right, yeah. Some of you guys are like, I'm so over that, right? But if you have Snapchat, if you have Instagram, if you have WhatsApp, if you have any of those, that's Facebook. Okay? They own all of it, right? And the other thing that they do is they're actually providing free internet everywhere. That's one of the coolest things that Facebook's doing. But most people don't realize. They look at it as a way for your parents to kind of stalk you. Instead, what Facebook really is doing is it's going to remote areas of the world that cannot get infrastructure laid, wires laid, towers built, and they're able to, they're flying right now as we speak, planes at 60 to 90,000 feet in the air that are unmanned for 3 to 6 months at a time, that communicate with each other, that broadcast down internet for up to 3 to 6 months at a time in the most remote areas of the world. That's pretty cool. They're connecting entrepreneurs from places like India and South Africa and China, and then again remote areas, and providing them an opportunity in a forum to foster genius and creativity. That's what Facebook's really doing. And again, it is a place for your parents to stalk you and for others to do stuff too. But it is also, again, it's something very big. It's something much bigger than that. And guys, the reality is that this job, while at its very basic core is selling knives, it's so much bigger than that. I don't consider myself at my core to be a knife salesperson. I consider myself to be a talent and leadership developer, because that's what gets me up in the morning. It's helping develop people like you guys to become better versions of yourself. I'm not foolish enough to think that all of you guys are going to be with our company forever. But I am foolish enough to believe that by working with us, whether it's for a summer or 5 or 16, that you'll become a better version of yourself because of what you're able to learn doing this job. I know that because I've helped college professors with programs up at NC State, where literally, who in here has done more than 10 demos in their career? Okay, well, if you did 10 demos in your career so far, you would have received an A in a 400 level marketing class at NC State University, because that class was called personal selling. It was marketing 400 or business 400 or whatever. It was for senior level marketing students. They took it before they graduated, and part of their class was working with us for a semester. And they had to do 10 demos over the course of 4 months. I know. Really burning at both ends, right? Studying a lot, doing a lot of work. 10 demos. Most of them did it one weekend, either at the beginning or the end of the semester. But 10 demos, and the professor gave them an A in that portion of the class. That part was 35%. If they did 10 demos, they got an A in that 35%. Another 15% of the class was writing a paper on their experiences and what they learned. And then the rest of it was some other random quizzes and other things they did in class. This is what they did with us. They went through a very small, condensed version of training that you guys went through. It was 2 days. They had one advanced training session, and then they did 10 demos. And so long as they did that, they got an A. Okay. Somebody didn't do 10 demos, they did 9. I think they got like an A- or something. They did 8, they got like a B+. I mean, it was literally that lame, right? But the professor, who was a former executive vice president at Kraft Foods, felt that it was that good of experience that it helped separate. And so that is why, like I said, I love what I do. That is why, I've got excitement for where we're going. And so I want to share with you guys some of the quick steps, and then we're going to jump into some instruction. I'm going to go quick with this stuff because some of you guys have seen this already. Some of you guys already know this. Some of you guys have already lived some of this, right? But here are the steps. Number 1 is being here. And I know that may seem trite. It may seem, canned. But the truth is, guys, getting to events that are keynote events, getting to events that are, exclusive but inclusive, it helps to separate you from others that don't take those steps. It helps to make a difference in your success with the company, right? But what's most important is what you do in leaving here. The next step, this is a good one, guys. Getting on your local office's key staff. I know some of you guys may already be on key staff, but everybody who's anybody in our business at some point in time went through a key staff program, because at key staff, that's where we start to really teach you more than just selling knives, okay? Because the truth is, guys, if all you do is show up for a Wednesday night team meeting and a Sunday paycheck meeting, there's not a whole lot of extra teaching we're going to be able to give you in those couple of hours. I mean, a lot of it's just organizational stuff and like, hey, make sure you get your stuff in. Okay, let's get your appointments booked the way you want them. Not because most people, I know this is hard to believe, but most people don't love making calls every single day. So we actually have to get them in a room together and actually have them do it. Otherwise, they won't do it. But on key staff, that's where we can get over some of those leadership stuff. That's where we can get over that skill set. And every office has got a different criteria, but there is a sales level that we want people to be at in order to get to that key staff. There does need to be kind of an entry level, admission, so to speak. You may need to be at 1,000 in your local office. Talk to your manager. You may need to be at 3,000. You may need to be at 1,500. Every office is a little bit different. You need to have the right attitude. Right? Guys, the right attitude doesn't mean you're always happy. It just means, it doesn't mean that you're always in a great mood. It just means that around the office, you're not dumping that on other people. Okay? You're not putting and projecting that onto other people that you're with, because that could spread like a virus or a flu. It could be really nasty. If any of you guys work with somebody like that was just super neg all the time, you don't even want to be around them, right? Some of you guys are like, yes, but guys, when you're around somebody that's always negative, it affects you. It affects your ability. You kind of slump over more. It wears on you. Okay, so being positive is critical, and it starts from within. By the way, it starts with you. Meaning, are you the beacon of positivity? And you need to be around the right people. And if you need to vent, go to your manager. Go to your manager and dump on them. Guys, I'm telling you, there's nothing that you guys can tell me that it's really going to shock me to the point where it's like, oh, damn. That's what you're dealing with right now at your age? Holy crap. Every once in a while, there'll be something. But I can guarantee you, since I've been managing people since 2003, that I've heard it all. Either have it all, lived it all, heard it all, helped somebody that did deal with it all. Because, people are people. Shit happens, right? You may have heard the phrase crap out, same crap, different toilet, right? Right? It's true, right? Everybody deals with similar challenges. Now, here's the thing. That does not in any way, shape, or form designed to belittle how important your challenge is. But what I'm saying is that your managers have helped people deal with challenges like that, so they can handle that. Okay, your brand new rep that's sitting beside you that is still trying to figure out how to cut the penny right. They may have not had to deal with that stuff in their life before, so dumping that on them isn't going to help. Okay, that's what we're talking about with positive attitude. They may think you're either crazy, or they may think that, man, I have not lived a good enough life. All right? Asking. Okay? You got to ask. You got to ask to be a part of key staff. You need to ask yourself, hey, what do I need to do to get on key staff, because we can't promote somebody if that's not something we know they're excited about. And guys, what I would put down is, can you make an admission within the next 10 days to get on key staff? And guys, I truly feel that if somebody, even if, you know, Bobby, you got one for your book bag there, bud?
No.
That's cool, man. Hey, you know, it's your world, man. All right. So, so it's one of those things where even if all you do on key staff, guys, is just hit the bare minimums to being on key staff, you're going to learn so much. And your leadership skills are going to happen with it. And if you're already on it, guys, really set up competition. If you want to have some fun, find somebody in the office that becomes kind of your accountability partner. You know, that will help make you more successful. Set up contests with them. Hey, whoever sells the least this week has to wash the other one's car, right? Whoever sells the least this week has to, you know, buy the other one dinner after the team meeting. Whoever does the least this week needs to shave their head. I had one time with a buddy where we were ramped up. Loser had to wear a dress to the next team meeting. Right? You know, I made sure I worked hard that week, right? I was ahead. I was planning on taking the Saturday off. Some of you guys know this story, but I was ahead. I was planning on taking Saturday off. I wasn't going to, you know, I was like, I'm done, I'm chilling. And then I found out on Friday that my you know, nemesis, right, Lee Strauss, you know, ended up selling and having like grand day on Friday and got ahead of me by $600. And I was planning on taking, and this was different back then. There was no Monday entering orders online, so you could ship it. I mean, we had to ship orders pretty much first thing Monday. So once you got to Sunday night, it was done. The week's over. You know, so I'm like, crap, man. I'm planning on taking the day off, you know. So I'm like, you know what, screw it. I'm gonna go out and book some demos. I ended up selling a homemaker on one of the demos that I booked up. Got 10 recommendations. It launched me into having a pretty good run of appointments through that one demo that I would have never done had it not been for that little bit of competition. And man, it was so rewarding being able to sit in that team meeting, just watching Lee wear that dress. You know, it was so fun. It was so fun. You know, shaving heads, right? Some of you guys got pretty manes. You may not want to do that one, but some of you guys may you know, you try to use a cut anyway. So, you know, maybe set up competition with that. Washing the car is easy. That one's fun. Paying for team meetings, dinner out, that stuff. That's, again, little things. I guarantee you'll make more money having that little bit of competition than the $5 or $10 it costs you to buy that person dinner after your team meeting. It definitely helps you to elevate. So take advantage of key staff. You know, the next one, guys, is the SC1 Alliance. I know that's what this meeting is all about, but being a part of that SC1 Alliance, and you may have heard this referred to as a 10K Alliance meeting, and the reason we are going to refer to it, it is a 10K Alliance meeting. We're going to show you how to do 10K. But at a minimum, can you produce and give a 5K effort? Okay? And there's a difference between a 5K effort, 5K results, guys, because I've had it happen sometimes where people they'll do all the effort and energy to do 10K, and they fall a little bit short. You know, they'll do 7K or 8K. And you know what? They may didn't hit their goal, but you know what they did make? If they were brand new, they made $1,500 in 2 weeks as a young professional. If there's somebody like Josh, they made $4,000 in 2 weeks. That's not too bad. You know, $1,000 a week. I'm sorry, $2,000 a week. It's $100K a year type income pace. You know, so by putting in the effort, you end up having your best results, and then really getting to the meetings. This is where you learn. This is where you become great. This is where the skill sets you get here can take it to whatever business you end up doing later in life. Okay, whatever job that may end up being. If you have any interest at all in being in management, well, you know, the meetings and the alliances are where we kind of determine who's got what it takes. Because when we promote people into management, we look for two things. We look for work ethic and we look for loyalty. Because those are two things you can't teach. Right? The other stuff we can teach. You know, we could teach how to run an interview professionally. We could teach people how to be confident giving, you know, a message in front of a group of individuals. But we can't teach loyalty and we can't teach work ethic. Well, some of that stuff happens through meeting attendance, being a part of an organization, being something bigger than yourself. Okay, that no man or no woman left behind type mentality is what we look for. Right? Above that, we have assistant manager interns. And guys, we're going to be promoting some assistant managers as early as the conference on June 14th. Right? And you may be, again, sitting here brand new, like, man, I'm still trying to figure out how to roll properly. There's no way I can actually teach other people how to sell. But you know what, guys? Sometimes that's the best proof. Sometimes having that, just seeing somebody else go and do the job that somebody is uncertain of, being successful at it, gives enough confidence for them to believe in themselves. You know, some of you guys are fortunate, and I was fortunate, where I had parents that really, truly, taught and instilled in me, hey, whatever you set your mind to, you can do. Anybody's parents teach them that at all? Hopefully, okay. And look, and I didn't want to embarrass if your parents didn't teach you that, right? But you have some representatives that we work with who the only person that's ever been positive to them is their manager. The only person who's ever really believed in them for them was their team, their managers. And so sometimes them just going and seeing you do a presentation and making a sale is enough proof for them to say, you know what? This is it. This is cool. I can do this. Or sometimes it's like, wait a minute, that person just made a sale. They didn't even know what they were doing, and they still found a way to sell. This stuff sells itself. I can definitely sell it now. Okay? Sometimes that happens. Okay? Part of it depends on your mentality, but it does help. But assistant managers, interns, that's where they start to learn the ropes of being a manager. They're helping out. They're coaching or helping to coach a team. We're going to promote people, like I said, as early as this summer. Definitely in the fall, and every organization in the division will have openings. Okay? Above that, we have regular assistant managers, and we have a few assistant managers here already. Some people that are vying to be promoted. Average assistant manager for our division makes about $8,000 during the summer. In some of our bigger organizations, they average 10 grand or more. I guess so. It's great income opportunity. It's really the best of both worlds because they get paid based on selling. They also get paid based on helping out in the office. Now, here's the thing. The pay off the office is not really the reason why they do it. They do it because they love helping other people. They do it because they love to give back. They do it because they love seeing somebody and coaching somebody else to go out and be successful. I got hooked on management here with the company when I was an assistant manager, and I literally had a little conversation with a rep that was struggling, and they went on their next appointment and sold a homemaker. Now, here's the truth. I have no idea to this day if they would have sold a homemaker had I not had that conversation. They may have just literally walked in that one customer. It's like, man, I've had this knife for 10 years. I love it. I need a homemaker. It could have been as that simple. But you know what? The fact that I gave, I inspired them a little bit. They went out and got that success. I was like, this is sweet. I was more excited for that rep selling a homemaker than when I sold a homemaker at 50%. Right? That was the difference, and as an assistant manager, it is pretty awesome. We'll definitely, like I said, have openings in the fall and spring, but we are going to be promoting some assistant managers on June 14th in our division, and there will be a payoff. We're finalizing it right now. Actually, I think we just finalized it, but we're getting a party deck on June 25th for a big payoff for any of our new assistant manager promotions, as well as our top 10K plus push performers for SC1, where we reserved a party deck, all-inclusive event at a Braves game. So it's gonna be pretty epic. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and that's gonna happen on, I said, June 25th, followed by some fun and festivities at Casa de Ketchum, my house. So it's gonna be a good time. So that's assistant managers. Above that, we have FSLs and FSMs, and we have a few CSPs in our organization that are here with us today that we're going to be working with and speaking, having you guys speak to. But these guys really get that beauty of the flexibility in travel. I know Josh. Josh. Do you mind if I share a little bit of your story? Okay, so after Josh graduated from college, like I said, he won 3 scholarships, paid his way through college, working with literally every expense associated with education? Yeah. Yeah, so literally every expense associated with his education, he paid for selling knives and paid for himself. And heavily involved in his church, prayer groups. Are you still running your prayer group, or is that okay? So he's got a prayer group that he runs. Loves. He's not originally from Atlanta or from Georgia. I know sometimes that's kind of it's like, oh, well, I'm not from here, so I can't really, do this job. Josh is originally from South Africa. And how long had you lived in the U.S. before you started working?
8 years.
Yeah, so he was in the U.S. for about 8 years. So he had been here for a little bit. But it wasn't like he was originally from here. It wasn't like he had family upon family upon family that was just around him. He could just go over and do a demo. When he first started, he was certainly not the most outgoing, literally the furthest thing from a salesperson that you would ever envision. That's just not Josh's style. And so through the company, though, he loved the product, started getting some success. His sincerity and authenticity came through with his customers. They ended up buying, ended up doing well. So after graduation, though, he needed to get a quote unquote, or in his mind, needed to get a real job. He's like, I'm going to do a real corporate America job, right? 9 to 5. That's what I'm going to do. And he did well, made good money, but then just over it, right? And so about a year ago, he came back. Well, no, I guess a little less than a year, right?
Yeah,
September. Yeah, came back in September and said, you know what? I'm thinking about coming back. I kind of miss the growing, miss the growth that happens. I also I missed having control of my schedule the way I want it, but I want to set it up in a way where I don't have to work on Sundays. I really don't prefer to work in the evenings if I can avoid it. So can we set up something like that? And so we set it up. And so Josh pretty much works Monday through Friday, unless he's running like an event or something like that. But he pretty much just works Monday through Friday and makes calls between 8 and 9:30 in the morning. He treats it like a corporate America type job. And what have you sold since you've been back? Do you know?
About 100 grand.
Okay, so sold 100 grand since last September. And he's got some pretty big goals for this summer and for this year. So, fully expect him $150,000, $200,000 type year this year. Well on his way to crafting a six-figure plus income opportunity, selling knives, doing a college kid job, so to speak. As an adult, which is pretty cool. So he'll be in the top 5% of the U.S. earners doing a knife job. Which I think is pretty cool. So FSL or FSM, that is really the best income opportunity that you can have as a college kid. Being able to sell and make bonus, going out and doing a demo and making $300, $400, $500 when you sell a set. That's pretty awesome. It's almost you almost feel guilty, except for the fact that your customers are going to have it for 30 or 40 years, and that you're probably going to spend that money in the next couple of weeks anyway. So it's one of those things where it is pretty cool. I remember having my first FSM Christmas. Right, when I say FSM Christmas, that's where I was, making great bonus checks, and I was able to buy my parents, or not only my parents, but my brother and sister, like good gifts, like things they would actually like, right? Instead of doing like I owe you one free room clean, or like, hey mom, can I, take my allowance for the next month and buy my sister something cool, right? It was like actually my money, and I remember it was so awesome to be able to take, for my sister and buy her, a concert, an event, a night out that she really wanted to go to, that my mom and dad couldn't or didn't want to afford, right? It was so awesome. And she, kind of opened up the ticket, it was in a little envelope. She thought it was just a regular thank you card or, Merry Christmas card, saw the tickets, was like, yeah, we're going, and she was just, overwhelmed. And it was just really awesome to be able to have that opportunity. So as far as FSL or FSM guys, I think this summer, getting to 20,000 should be a goal and a mission for all of you in this room this summer, because it's very doable. Some of you guys are already there almost, or are already there, right? If you're at $1,000, just do what you've done already 19 more times. You're there. It's only 20 homemakers, right? That's really all it is. Right? If you're at $3,000, just do what you've done 6 more times, and you're pretty much right there. Right? If you're at $6,000, do what you've done 3 more times or 2 more times, and you're right there. If you're at $10,000, just do what you've done again. Right? Have a couple good weeks. Could you go nuts over the next 2 weeks and hit it in the next 2 weeks? Could you do that? It's possible. People will do it. you'll see sales reports where people have sold 10, 15, 20 grand. Just so you know, the record for SC1. Where's that? Oh yeah, there it is. Okay, so the record for SC1 was Sarah Mashburn a couple years ago. She's been busy this year. She had a kid, so that kind of takes a little bit of time. But I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago. She sold $51,300 in 2 weeks. So you got ways to go to break the record, but yeah, you can definitely get it done in the next couple weeks. Above that, as a sales manager. As a sales manager, you're running the office with your district manager side by side. For next summer, maybe the fall or spring, depending on the office that could be available to you. You're in the office full time. Here in this office, we kind of have a sales manager and a pilot manager. Our sales manager is Michael Mullins. He's in the office pretty much full time. He ran a branch office, in Dahlonega for a summer for us. And then now, actually started in Josh DePloy's branch summer, back when Josh ran his own office for a summer, which is pretty cool. So Josh, not only a great sales rep, but also a pretty good little manager. Got good development there. Then branch manager is above that. And guys, branch manager, I think, is the highlight opportunity, especially if somebody's not planning on being with Cutco permanently. This is, I think, one of the best opportunities that you can have. Here's why. Because when somebody runs their own business for a summer, it's really 10 weeks worth of intense work and training and development of your team. And then the rest of the summer, the last couple months, it's basically working with your top reps, selling personally, and helping them to transition into the district office. It separates somebody. We call it here in this office taking the leap. And our goal for next year is to have 30 offices as part of this division. Right now we have 17 offices rather. Our goal for next year is 30. And our best and our brightest people want this. They want that challenge. We call it taking the leap. The L stands for leadership, because it's real leadership, not just leadership like, hey, I was the captain of my team because I was the best player on my team, or hey, I was the captain, I was the president of this club because nobody wanted to run it, right? It's real leadership. I mean, you're running your own company. You are the boss. You are the owner. Okay? Jake Cook was a branch manager. Was it 2 summers ago? Yeah. So 2 summers ago, Jake was a branch manager, and he enjoyed it so much. He's like, you know what? School's not my thing. He became a district straight from there. Okay? That's not the typical path. Typically, what happens is somebody runs a branch office. They do it during the summer, and then after that, they go back to school. I know Chris Reen was somebody who did that for 3 summers in a row. He was at UGA. He ran 3 branch offices for us before he graduated UGA. He got all sorts of job offers. It does help separate somebody from that on a leadership standpoint. Experience-wise, it's different. There's a difference between running a simulated company and a project for class, or doing a very short-term, business that you're running versus actually saying, no, I helped negotiate my office lease. I was responsible for hiring and training receptionist staff. I ran sales motivational meetings every week. I ran a key staff program where I helped develop skill set leadership. It was funny. I was talking to people in the gym this morning, and one of the guys that works out with me was asking, he's like, well, he's like, how much does it cost for one of those butcher blocks? And I'm like, dude, Brian didn't tell you? My workout partner. And he's like, no. I said, man, it's expensive. But it's good stuff. Have it forever. I said, and I guarantee you for, as many pairs of running shoes I've seen you run through here in the last 2 years, you could have gotten a set and you'll have it for the next 30 years. He's like, oh, okay. I said, I tell you what, if you want it, go online, find it, call me. I'll give you a good discount. I said, because if I send one of my reps over to you, they're going to sell the crap out of it to you. And he's like, what? Really? I go, yeah. I go, because my reps are good. I was like, and you're going to want to buy a lot when you meet them. He's like, really? I said, yeah. And he's like, well, what do I need to do to get some of those guys coming and working for me once they graduated? And I was like, well, I said, why don't you come to one of my meetings and you can meet some of these kids and see our training program that we have. But as a branch manager, you're not only getting that, you're teaching people that. So those job offers that you have out of school are ridiculous. Right? It's an adventure. It is an adventure. An adventure, I mean, there is never a dull moment in a Vector office. There isn't. There's always something going on. You know, I mean, it is crazy. It is fun. It is different, right? It's funny. You may have had buddies that, it's like, man, isn't that place like a cult, right? Because it is different. It's not normal. It's not the lame job that people hate showing up to, and then you can't wait to get out of, right? It's there when you learn and you grow and you get better at it. So it's an adventure. We do all sorts of fun adventures. I mean, I know for me, all the other companies I worked for, there was no such thing as, hey, pick a day, you have a great day that day, we're going to the Braves game and I'm buying your Braves ticket. That doesn't happen in most places. There's not most places where you get free food just for doing your job, unless you're working at a restaurant, right? Most people, there's not much bonuses that you get. Pay raises come not when you earn them, just whenever the manager decides, right? It's like, oh, it's been 6 months. We'll give you a 25-cent pay raise. Doesn't work that way. Here you earn a paycheck and a raise whenever you want. And what's cool about your manager is that they can run their meeting however they want to. If Jake decides he wants to run a team meeting in his boxer shorts, nobody can stop him. I'd probably tell him it's not a good idea from a standpoint of respect, but hey, it's his world. And then lastly is personal growth. The damn PowerPoint got me there. But yeah, the personal growth. Right? It causes you to become a better version of yourself. I will say most of our CSPs, our top level sales reps, people like Anthony, people like Josh, they've run their own business as a branch manager. Right? And it helps them become and to think like a business owner. Right? So it helps you to be a little bit different. Okay. And like I said, it is challenging. In fact, you talk to people that have branched before, and they will tell you it's probably the toughest thing they've ever done. Okay. Or one of the toughest things they've ever done. Okay. But I think our best people want that challenge. They want that responsibility. They want the rock to be in their hands and take that shot. And so, like I said, as far as for branch manager, our goal is 30 offices next year. Okay. Above that is a pilot sales manager. As far as when that's available, guys, just keep it real simple. It's total a question mark. The reason why is because there's only one. As the pilot sales manager, they run this office on a day-to-day basis. I take the top person out of our entire management training program, out of our leadership academy, and they get promoted into that position. There's only 35 of them in the whole company. It's very tough. It's demanding. The expectation is for these people, many of which are in school still, that they're able to go out and produce at a level above every other organization in the division. And for this division in particular, our expectation is to perform in the top 20 at a minimum every year, and ideally top 5 in the nation. And so that's something. It's a lot of responsibility. I was a pilot sales manager for 2 years while I was graduating from school, and don't feel bad for the pilot sales manager. They do fine, trust me. There's trips, there's perks, everything like that, but it is a lot of responsibility. And so as far as when it's available, it is a question mark. Now I will say this. Our current pilot sales manager, Doug Blanchard, is graduating this fall, so he'll be a district manager this next summer. So there will be an opening for next summer. Above that, though, is district manager. And district is really, like I said, the pillar of the company. People like Jake, Jordan, Dwayne, James Chow, really any of our current district managers. We have several new district managers, and Sam Knapp and Tyler Norman, Dwayne Dennis, Jen Hart, also Jordan White down in Jacksonville, Mikey Peterson, and then and Adrian Gonzalez. We have several new district managers that have just opened up, but then we also have veteran district managers like Jake and James, Cole Forrester in Pensacola, and I guess technically here that are veterans. You think about a district manager. What age do you typically think of when you think of a district manager with a company, especially a multi-million-dollar company? Yeah, 30s, 40s, right? Jake, how old are you? Jake's 21. Okay. James Chow, he looks 21, but he's actually 35. And I look a lot older, about 33. So, Cole Forrester, I believe 23. But yeah, I mean, somebody in their early 20s, and guys, as a district manager, it's great income. I mean, there's 6-figure plus income opportunity, young age. I know for me, I made over 6 figures my first year out of college as a district manager, and continue to grow from there. As a district, you're also, you really have the following things that I think about. Number one is you are a business owner. I mean, it's your business. When I think about the American dream, you're running your own company. Okay, you're the owner. Everything, you're responsible for everything. I mean, everything you see in here, technically I own. Okay, so I write a check for the rent every month. I'm responsible for utilities and everything else. But what's great about it is with great responsibility comes great opportunity, right? And you're a developer of other people. You have tons of freedom in that you can choose to travel when you want to. I know, Jake. In the spring alone? Where'd you go? Took several trips, but. Yeah, so not bad for somebody 21 years old, having only run his own business for a little over a year, right? 2 years, I guess. Right? I know James Chow and Alpharetta. He goes to China a couple times a year usually. Also, there's 6 company trips a year you can qualify for as a district manager. You've got, like I said, good flexibility, good travel, big income, and ultimate leadership. For those that like cars, there's a BMW car allowance for somebody once they've been a district manager for 20 months. So that's always fun. So you get the ultimate driving machine just for doing your thing. Okay, so not a bad gig, especially for somebody in their early 20s. And then as far as district manager, somebody's got to be out of school. As far as when it could be available, but like I said, it was something for me that I initially never thought would be an opportunity. I never thought it would be something I'd be interested in, but it was something that did come available. And so I think it's important just to know kind of what is out there, because I think sometimes as you're trying to figure out why am I working hard, well, it's good to know why you're working hard. And there's a lot of opportunity within the company by working hard. So there's this talk of advancement, getting people excited about doing some demos. All right. Well, there is a contest that's actually starting, and I think you guys have already seen or heard of it, but I'll pass it around. But there are some levels that you can earn and win by going all out over the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and you take these and pass it around. And then in the meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to bring up for a little fireside chat our CSP from up in my hometown now, up in Suwanee, Georgia, Josh DePloy. And Josh actually does not live in Suwanee anymore. He betrayed the SU Dub, and now he is down in the city. Which you got the city shirt going. I like it. So you want to just do fireside chat, or
sure?
Yeah. And we'll have you post up, and I feel like what we should do, and maybe have you sit right here, just so that way people can see you. And
Skype or something?
yeah, yep, you're right here. So.
Okay.
Cool. Yes, you might want to. Yeah, you're going a little. You can open up the button there. That's good. Show a little. You got a nice chest. You're good. All right. So, so to tell you again a little bit about Josh. Josh, career sales.
For Sony.
So $470,000 worth of Cutco. So yeah, and by the way, there's been a price increase or two since he started. So if you were to adjust for a little bit of inflation, maybe over 500 for sure. And once somebody gets to 500,000, which he'll probably get here in the next month or so, 2 months probably. So I guess my SC2 probably, but he'll be at $500,000 in career sales, and that's a distinguished award within the company called Court of Honor. And when somebody gets to Court of Honor, they actually get a 14 karat gold, 18 karat gold. He's 18 karat gold ring with 3 rubies in it. Right? And then once somebody gets to $1 million in career, they replace the 3 rubies with 11 diamonds. Right? It's a very cool award that you can earn. You get it either by having sold $1 million personally, or having managed people that have sold over $10 million as a district manager, or $20 million as a division manager. So you guys will meet a little bit later Lauren, and Lauren has actually been inducted in the Hall of Fame twice, both as a rep and a manager. But Josh will be there in the next couple of years, which is not bad considering, Josh, you're only how old?
26.
26 years old. So he'll be in the Hall of Fame of a $200 million marketing company before he hits the age of 30. which I think is pretty awesome. So as a standout sales rep, though, Josh, you are somebody who sold a ton of Cutco in college. You've had multiple big pushes as a rep. You helped manage some people to have some pretty good success when you were a branch manager as an assistant. And so I feel like it'd be valuable to kind of go through your presentation and talk about what are some things that you do to really hit the 7 steps to effectively marketing a product. And if you look back over here, gang, there's 7 steps to effectively marketing a product. And the first one is connection. And when you connect properly with a customer, it really makes your job a lot easier. I don't think customers will buy just because they like you. I still am not sold on that concept, right? I mean, you know, I don't care if I love somebody. If they got a shitty product, I'm out, right? But if they don't like you, they probably won't get, right? And I've definitely experienced that. So what are some things that you do at the beginning of the presentation to make sure that you set up both recommendations and also making sure that you set that buying atmosphere with a customer?
Yeah. In the beginning of my book, I have, first of all, like all my pages are put in laminated sheets, so it just looks a lot better and more professional. And then the start of it, I just have pictures of the front page is a picture of my whole family. The next page is a picture of me graduating college and me playing guitar because it's something I just enjoy doing as a hobby. And I just feel like that builds credibility in me and like helps me to connect with them because they can kind of relate to me a little bit. I can talk about my family. I can kind of make some connections with mine and theirs. And
so you're talking about a goal sheet, right? And also things that are important to you.
Yeah, essentially, yeah. I have just pictures that are important to me. So yeah, and then after that, I have like pictures of like my nephews and my siblings with all my nephews and stuff like that. So it's just like stuff to relate. And then my girlfriend, and then we have we say credibility. So I show them like all the scholarships I won with the company, and I guess you could use that as a goal to like show them the scholarship pages after that and just say it's my goal to win this. Or and I would recommend like maybe if you can find some sort of ranking of your place in your office or your division that has your name on there, something just to build credibility in what you've done so far with the company is helpful. And then when it comes to, have you shown them like the automatic sponsorship and all that too?
Well, they should, yeah. You guys all have the automatic sponsorship sheet in the back of your white books, correct? Okay, so.
Okay, I would move that to the front, like right after your goal sheet and all that. So, and have like at least a few of signatures on there. If you don't have any on there, just like take some from people who have given you 10 recommendations or more and sign their name on there yourself. And then you can just tell them this is automatic sponsorship. If I fill this page out by the end of the campaign, then I can win $150 of Cutco that I can use to sell to pay for books for school and to pay for my tuition and all that. So, and you sort of just plant the seed in the beginning about the recommendations. Tell them I'll tell you about that in the end. And then when you go to the company page, go through all the information about the company and get to the Direct Selling Association too. And then tell them that we work through the Direct Selling Association, so we don't, we can't, the only way that I've been able to see people is just through friends of friends of friends of friends, like people like you. So,
Cool.
So yeah.
So got a couple things there that I want to make sure it doesn't get lost. Number one is if you don't have an All-American Scholarship brochure, get one from your manager. We have some here in the office still, so if people need them, we can get them for you. And make sure if you have one of those, have every customer that you show it to sign it. Okay, why do you think that matters? Or why do you think that helps in your presentation? Well, what's that? Yeah, they feel like they're part of it. And what do people sign their name to?
Helping you.
Things that are important, right? When people sign their name, they sign it on things that are important, right? Bills, legal documents, right? Insurance papers, wills. I mean, they don't just sign their name to just randomness, right? I mean, I guess if you're a famous celebrity, you could sign pretty much anything, right? But for most people, when they sign their name, it means something. And so by having them do that, what I used to say, and I think what Josh does as well, is you just say, Ms. Jones, so, you know, I said, I'm working hard for this scholarship this summer. And so I'm having everybody I see sign it. So that way, if I win or when I win, I'll know who to thank. Right? So if you wouldn't mind signing my scholarship brochure, it would really mean a lot to me. Right? So you have them sign it. The importance of having the goal sheet at the beginning of the presentation. The reason why that goal sheet is so important is not only because it allows you to promote you know, whatever contest that you may be in, but it also shows them that you're not just some knife salesman. Okay, there's something bigger for why you're working. And what I typically recommend on that, sorry, is that when you're doing your goal sheet, just take a blank sheet of paper. You know, I am terribly uncreative. I'm talking like boring as crap when it comes to like creativity. But what I did is I made a little goal sheet, a thermometer. We've got some here in the office you can use. Your managers have some. They can get you as well. But it literally just says, you know, personal goals, you know, school goals, business goals, you know, and then lifelong, right? And then you just have, you know, you can have a couple little 1, 2, or 3 things that are really important to you. You know, and you can even just say right before you start, you know, just so you know, I'm not just a knife salesperson. Actually, the reason why I'm working, and then you just go through all of this, and it's on one sheet of paper. I've seen it also work, okay, where people will take that same page, that lamination page or whatever, or the sheet protectors, and literally just divide it, right down the middle and across, and they'll have all their stuff from their school, like photos, like logos. Like I went to USC Chapel Hill, so on my recommendation binder, I actually had, you know, the old well, which is one of the big monuments there at UNC, right there in the middle of it. You know, if you're going to, you know, if you're going to UGA, right, you put the hedges there. Right, if you're going to, to Duke, leave my office. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, but no, put something in there that represents your university, right? Take that pride in where you're going to school and what you're doing, right? So it's school, and then you can put in there maybe some GPA goals, your major that you're shooting for. Okay, over here, you put Cutco stuff, right? Which is, you know, kind of some goals you may have with Cutco. Maybe it's to win that VIP night. Maybe it's to get to 10K for your push. Then right here, you put, you know, your family, you know, which is, you know, just kind of, you know, things about you that kind of, you know, make up, you know, your family life, right? It could be a picture of you and your dog, if it's just you and your dog, right? It could be a picture of you and your mom, your sister, your brother, you know, your siblings. Just again, showing them that you're not just some like random knife salesperson. And then over here is just like kind of some lifelong stuff. Okay. The reason I kind of like to set it up this way is most people read things like a book. They go left to right, right? And so you're putting the 2 most important things right here. So then as you're going across, then you've got, you know, the other stuff, right? Why you're working here and what that'll, because again, it's like, here, tell me a little about myself, boom, family here, here's why I'm working with Cutco, boom, right? So you just kind of work it just like that. And you can set it up any way you want. Some people literally just do one big ass collage and it's kind of all over there and it's just like this, you know, just bam, right? When you start your presentation, you can either put this in your blue book or you just put it on your recommendation binder. Did you have yours sitting with you here or no? All right. Okay, yeah, there you go, Bobby. Right, guys, if you look at Bobby, I mean, look at this thing. This thing's epic. He's got it written in crayon, right? I mean, you know, guys, if you think about this, when Bobby shows his presentation to a customer, do you think that customer is looking at him as some like slick, like dirty salesperson? He wrote his goal sheet in crayon. No. No, they're looking at him like, dude, this is a cute kid, man. You know, and you know what? And they're going to help him out with the recommendations. Now, here's the thing. I think if Matt, his buddy sitting right beside him, I think if he wrote his in crayon, I'd be a little concerned. You know, I'd worry there a little bit, right? I don't see Matt doing that. That's not his style. Okay? You know, customers would be like, sweetheart, are you okay, Matt? Like, you know, do you need me to call your parents and get you home? You know? he's got an overactive pituitary gland or something like that. But no, it's just one of those things where you got to make it you. But when you make it you, your customers see that you're not just a nice salesman, right? And that's really big with connection. With the credibility stuff, the scholarships. I actually had a rep in here the other day. He's like, "Do you guys offer real scholarships, or is that just something we tell customers?" I'm like, "Perfect. That's what you think? Think we BS and just make up a scholarship?" No. We give out $160,000 a year versus with scholarships and extra help and support to universities around the nation. And I know it's not a ton of money, but it helps pay for books. You know, it helps support things. I do know when I wrote a check for $1,000 to the Georgia GCSU's career services department, it was the singular biggest donation that they've ever received in career services at a major university. $1,000 check was the biggest donation they've ever received. And that's ridiculous in my mind. But you know what? Some of you guys are going to GCSU. You're like, "Oh no, career services is not going to help me much," right? But the truth is, guys, is that, yes, we provide a lot of support locally, divisionally, nationally. There is a whole wing of the hospital up only in New York that is the Cutco wing of that hospital. Okay, like there's certain companies that will donate a room. They built the whole wing of a hospital up in Olean. They donated the auditorium at St. Bonaventure's to help that university up there. The local community college up there. They built the auditorium and the gym, Cutco. I mean, so there's a lot of money is given back in donations and stuff. So the credibility is important. Mentioning that, been around for over 50 years. Is there anything you say about how return business or anything like that, like how much customers have come back and bought or anything during the company part?
No, I just say we've been around for 67 years. Been, as far as I know, the top selling for best 30 years right now. Yeah. I just told them that.
Cool. All right, let's go into identifying a need, because I think sometimes this is where new reps struggle, right? Because most of you guys don't cook. I know I didn't cook when I first started, and knives were not kind of the top of my priority list whenever I was in somebody's kitchen. I was looking to see what kind of food they had and what we were going to get hooked up with that way. I was not caring what kind of knives they were using. So is there anything that you do with customers that have high quality knives? Because I think we all know how to handle people that have bad knives, right? That's pretty easy. You make kind of an ooh face, or like, ooh, yeah, right? One little tip I'll give you guys is whatever knives they have, if you want to show the need without offending them, okay? Because I know that you don't want to offend, right? If you offend somebody, that may rub them the wrong way. So let's say they have crappy knives. Let's say they've got plastic handle knives and you want to be grossed out, or the wood is like rotten or something and you really want to be grossed out. You have to build a lot of rapport to be like, "Man, these things are nasty," right? But instead of doing that, here's what you do instead. You just say, "Miss Jones, a lot of Cutco owners used to own whatever type of handle they've got, plastic handles. The challenge they found with plastic handles, or what are the problems with plastic handles? They melt, chip, break, that sort of thing, right? What are the problems with wooden handles? Unsanitary, gross, or stuff, right? Uncle Mo, what's up? All right, so you say, they're unsanitary, absorb grease, odors, bacteria, everything else, right? So just saying that little phrase right at the beginning, hey, a lot of customers have this before they got Cutco, here's what they found. Why is that more effective than just saying, "Yeah, those are gross," or "Yeah, those absorb grease," or "Yeah, those are going to chip and crack"? Well, you're not singling them out, right? See, they don't feel offended if they're not singled out. If they're just like, "Hey, a lot of people have this problem, here's what they're finding," now it's like, "Man, I'm having that problem." They're connecting the dots without you having to straight up say, "Look, you've got a bunch of bacteria and mold and stuff inside those handles, and your poor kids are going to get sick at some point because of them," right? You just say, "Hey, we've actually found customers that have wooden handles have found that there's a lot of germs, bacteria, and stuff that grows within them, and it can cause illness and stuff around the home." Okay? It's a lot more effective than saying you're going to have this happen to you. Just like if somebody smokes cigarettes, right? If you go to somebody who smokes cigarettes and you say, "Hey, I know a lot of people have smoked cigarettes, and there's actually been a lot of studies, and they found that it does this, it does this, it does this." That's not nearly as offensive as saying, "Hey, you smoke cigarettes, here's what's going to happen. All right? It's abrasive that way versus
So you're saying
trying to help.
don't kind of like if they have wooden handle knife, you're saying don't.
Just say, hey, a lot of Cutco owners used to have wooden handles, and here's what they found.
So you think the other way is not effective?
I think that is a lot more effective when you say they've had it and here's what they found. You still tell them all the gross crap. You just preface it with here's what they've found. Because now it's not you trying to single them out, right? So, cool. All right. Anything you do, particularly though, if they have a good set of knives like Hinkles or Wusthof that maybe they just purchased.
Yeah. I mean, I generally find, I feel like if you do the first 2 steps, then you can kind of just, they'll typically be honest with you if you're like on time, if you present yourself well and you make a good connection with them and you build a rapport well. Then, I mean, I just think the best way that people are going to get sold the product is by using it. And so if you can, even if they have high quality knives, I still get them to compare the two. And if they see that yours is better and like you've made a good connection with them, like they're going to be honest about it and they're going to realize like which one performs better.
So you're saying people upgrade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, they don't always replace their knives if they have good quality knives, but sometimes they do. But like sometimes they don't. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff we make that other high-end brands don't make. So even if they don't replace them, they'll add on some few extra things because they'll see the quality that we have. So cool. All
right. Any phrase that you can say to somebody, kind of along the same lines as what I did with people that do have Wusthof or Hinkles? Is there anything you could customers that have had those don't like?
Yeah, I mean, I treat it all the same, like as if they have like crappy knives or if they have like really good quality knives. Like I ask them to go and grab like some of their favorite knives that they use whenever I do a demo, and I go to the kitchen with them, like we find it, and then we compared the two. And so like if they're happy, I don't know if there's like a phrase, but if they seem like they really don't want to, like it needs to be replaced, I just tell them, well, I mean, we have a lot of other stuff that Cutco makes that people still add on when they have high-end knives that are still working well for them. So I'll show you everything we got, and then most of the time people end up finding something they like. So.
And Anthony's going to talk about how to sell accessories and upsell to people that even already own a set of Cutco. But I know things that I did when I was a rep. If they had Hinkles or Wusthof, if they had kids that were going away to college, just suggest. Mr. Jones, what some people do is they'll give their old knives that they've been using for years to the kids to take to college so they can actually cook and eat healthy. And then they get a good set for themselves here that they use every day. Okay? You can say that with people that already own an older set of Cutco. You can do that. The 3 complaints, by the way, just so you guys know, for people that have Hinkles or Wusthof, number 1, and I would jot these down because this sets up, I think, the openness to wanting to replace with Cutco. 3 complaints. You have to take extra time to hand wash them because they're not dishwasher safe. And you can just kind of laugh it off saying, Mr. Jones, a lot of people skip that part, and so they get dull quickly. The second thing is you're supposed to sharpen them regularly because they're mostly straight edges. And thirdly is they need to be replaced every 7 to 10 years. And then kind of along what Josh was saying right there, you could say, so let me show you why those people like to add to their set or replace it with Cutco. And if you want to build up the customer a little bit, let me show you why people like you who already own and appreciate quality would like to add to it or replace it with Cutco. And then you go into the actual demonstrations with Cutco. Okay? Anything you do to build value so that you avoid having people tell you it's too expensive.
Yeah, I guess, well, a lot of that stuff with the other high quality knives, I mean, that's really similar to what's in the close. And the differences are like they have straight handles. Our handles are designed by doctors study every 700 pairs of hands to get the handle design. So ours are a lot more comfortable to use.
So the handle design?
Yeah, the handle design, and then like the handle material, it's the same as what's used in bowling balls and football helmets. It resists melting, cracking, breaking. It's dishwasher safe. We're the highest quality steel that's available for kitchen cutlery. It's 440A steel. And so the other Wusthof and Shun and Hinkles, I think they only go through like one heat treating process. I think this is 440A. Steel always goes through 3 heat treating processes, so it just lasts a lot longer. They sharp a lot longer, and they are just going to be put in the dishwasher, which is really unique. You're not going to find another set of knives that's dishwasher safe. So ours is just a lot more convenient to use too. And then I mean, I think that probably the biggest value building thing is just me telling them that 8 out of 10 times when I go to someone's house, they already have Cutco. So most people already have it, and like I show them a bunch of testimonials like between my what's the value building page and then the guarantee page. So I have that between there, and I when I go to someone's house that has Cutco, every time I get them to write down like a little testimonial about it, and I just show them like all the letters that people have written about how long they've had the Cutco, what they liked about it, and I have a testimony on there of someone who like inherited their set from their grandparents and they sent it back and got it refurbished, and they had a brand new set of knives for the rest of their life and never had to pay for. So it's not just a set of knives that you're having for the rest of your life, but it's a legacy you leave behind for your family because you can pass it on to your kids.
So would you recommend if somebody's brand new, if they don't have any testimonials? What would you, I mean, any suggestions you would have on them? Or like get them from every customer that owns Cutco?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely. Every time you see a customer who has Cutco already, ask them to write about it, and you kind of guide them what you want them to write. I mean, what do you want to show to your other customers? So you just ask them to write about like how, I don't know, how they got it, how long they've had it, why they've been happy with it. And so I think it's just the more you can get people to see how common it is for people to own Cutco, the better it builds value.
Cool. Last question for you. Any tips that you have on selling sets versus pieces? Like anything that you've got that you feel like has helped you to be able to sell sets, or those big combinations versus just getting individual stuff? Yeah,
I think if you could just simplify things and just be like genuine about it, and I always tell people like these are our 3 sets. We have a starter set, a basic set, and a complete set. I refer to the homemaker, signature, and ultimate.
Yeah, so you start with the homemaker, signature, ultimate, right?
Right. I have
down from there.
I have the 3 of those, and I show them, and so I start with that, and I just tell them like most people get them this way. If they don't get them this way, they get like individual pieces, and they end up upgrading to them anyway. So it is a much better value just to start off with that.
But you do show how you, with the homemaker, signature, ultimate, how you kind of package those together to look smaller so that it doesn't feel so big.
Okay. So with 3 sets, we have a starter set, and then we have our basic set over here, and then there's our complete set. And so most of my customers end up upgrading to this down the road if they start with Cutco, because when I come to your house like years down the road and sharpen your knives, people just end up upgrading to it eventually. And so if you can budget it, this is the best value. But we do have smaller sets like the starter set and the medium set. If you want to get individual pieces by the end of it, that's totally fine if it's a budget thing. You can buy like 1 knife at a time. You can buy like a few different pieces, but like the best value is to at least get 1 of our sets. So, yeah, I'll show you those. So, yeah, I mean that's essentially it. Where did Trey go? Yeah, come in here.
By the way, if you're not taking notes on some of the words that he was using, it was like those were like nuggets that he was using. You probably want to say that again.
Which one should I repeat?
I mean, just like almost do the thing again.
Yeah.
I would just pick up on the things that he's saying, because a lot of that I think went a lot over your head. Taking notes, I would take like the budgeting word is a big word that you use. You can write that down. So how do you do that?
Yeah, sure. So we have 3 main sets. We got our, and this shouldn't be here, but normally isn't anyway. So we have our complete set, we have our starter set, and then our basic set over here. So this is most of my customers that start with a few pieces or just like a smaller set end up upgrading to this down the road. So if you can budget it, this is the best value. To just
what are some of the things you heard him say that anybody pick up on for the budget? Why is he
Upgrade
saying
down
that?
the road.
Why? Because he said starters, and why did he say the smaller words? Cool. And then, there was something else. What else? What did you say?
Most of my people who buy pieces end up upgrading anyway, so it makes sense if you can budget it, go ahead and get it today.
Yeah.
Because you can get more for your money.
You picked up on it? It said most people.
Yeah.
Most people. That is a term you want to use. Very frequently.
And it's true. I mean, like usually when people have
Yeah.
homemakers, I end up upgrading them to ultimates, and so it's
Yeah,
just
if any of you guys made a sale, somebody who already had a homemaker set, to either a signature, ultimate, getting more items on top of it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it happens pretty frequently.
Um,
Did you guys understand the concept of how we came up with the complete set? Okay? The simple way to define it is it's the basic homemaker, and then we take the top 10 customer requested knives, and every so often we'll reevaluate corporately and say, okay, what are people buying? What are people using most consistently? When I first started, when John first started, when Lauren first started, you know, some of these items didn't exist. There was no cheese knife when I first started. There was no Santoku knife. There was no petite Santoku. So there was a Hardy slicer. It was designed a little bit differently. But what happened is they took the top 10 requested, they reevaluated a couple years later and said, you know what, we're selling more of these. These are more requested by customers. So every so often they'll just upgrade the set, the ultimate set, to include the top 10 requested knives. And then the signature is in between. It's kind of a happy medium between the two. Okay? The homemaker set, guys, is only 8 knives, 2 forks, and 8 table knives. It's not a monster deal. It's not a monster set. It's a pretty standard set. Okay?
yeah. I mean, and sometimes you'll hear people say that the block looks too big, or I don't know if I want like a
This
knife
is
set
a
that's-
good selling point too.
So I just tell them like the honest truth. I mean, I have this on my counter, so like this picture makes it look a lot bigger than what it is. I'll tell them it's no bigger than this sheet of paper. I take the sheet of paper, put it by like somewhere wherever they put their knives, and just say, I mean, it's going to fit right there. And so it just looks a lot bigger than the picture. It's really not that big.
Yeah, it's the same size, the same footprint as your blue book. So you just go like that. That's the same footprint that the ultimate set has.
How many know I've already heard that, by the way? Oh, that's really big. Oh, yeah. Okay. That's exactly mentality. So he just helped you out. By that piece of paper, that was a huge.
So it's the same size as the book.
Yeah, I mean, the signature set it's almost the same size as the signature set. It's not much bigger.
Yeah, because it's got more rows.
That's it. Yeah. You stand it up. It's about that tall. Lay it flat. It's about that wide. Last, I guess one bonus question then for you. Anything that you do to make sure that you get recommendations from customers who already own Cutco? Because sometimes when you see people that own it, they'll be like, well, I already gave them last time. Is there anything that you say to them when they say, oh, I already gave people the last time somebody showed me Cutco?
Right. Are they doing sharpenings at all or no?
No, they're inspecting, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, I just tell them that most of the time when people, 80% of the people I see already have Cutco, so they usually end up getting some extra things anyway. And so when they hear that I'm selling Cutco, they're happy to hear from me. So, so I just ask them to refer me to them again because they're gonna want to see it again. So, and usually like if sometimes like they don't get a hold of some people or schedule with them. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, just refer me to them again. You never know. I mean,
And sometimes the last rep didn't get around to them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I can go over there and inspect their knives, make sure everything's working properly. And if anything's not, I can help them send it back. That's another big point. And here's the other thing. You shows they can always tell me no. You know? They can always tell me no.
Yeah.
Not going to hurt my feelings. Right? So, cool. Well, guys, let's go and give Josh a hand. Thank you, sir. Up next, we've got Anthony Mercer. And Anthony is actually going to be speaking on how to go large with orders. You know, and here's and I'll tell you a little bit, Anthony. What is your average order so far year to date? Do you know? I was looking I was trying to get the exact estimates to give you this bio, but I have a feeling that if the last month is any indicator, Anthony's average order size is roughly $1,000. Okay, so he sells on average about $1,000 per order. Okay, so imagine selling about a homemaker with shears free every single time. And that's what Anthony does. And what's great about Anthony is he's had a long history with the company. He's been a district manager. He went to seminary school for a period of time. He was a student at Georgia Southern. He also is somebody who has been a district manager, a pilot sales manager, a branch manager, pretty much every level in the business Anthony has been in. And he really found his niche as a career sales professional. Really took off a couple years ago. He partnered up with Sarah Mashburn, and they've kind of lit the vector world on fire. So far, year to date, I believe you're the #1 rep in our division. I think you're ahead of Sarah. I know, pretty handily, I think. So, I'm sure she's loving that one. Yeah, I don't think that matters one bit to her. She's as competitive as she is, but yeah, Anthony for the last couple weeks in a row has been, it was $9,000, $8,000, $7,000 a week before that. He's consistently in that $5 to $10 grand range. What's your biggest week so far this year, Ben?
Which is my biggest week ever. It's 30.
Did you almost 30 grand that one week?
Yeah.
Okay.
24.
24,000, over $20,000 in a single week. So yeah, so he knows a thing or two about going big, and so I'm gonna have him speak to you guys on how to sell big, with an emphasis on how do you sell accessories, how do you sell more than just sets. So on a personal note, Anthony is one of the greatest guys I know. He's somebody that I gotta hopefully get an invite to the wedding. Hopefully you guys don't book it around the Olean trip. I did tell Scott, by the way, I don't give a shit when and I don't care. I told Scott, I said, I'm going to Anthony's wedding. It's not even an option. So I told my boss I was going to have to miss a work trip. It meant being able to go to Anthony's the man. So, he just got engaged recently to the love of his life. And I'm so fired up for him and Elizabeth as they embark on their future and career together, both as a couple. And in the business sense, Anthony has just been like I said, an awesome individual with our division. Gone out and on pace for over $300,000 this year. Won the Rolex with the company last year for doing over $225,000 for the year, and now he's on his way to demolishing that number this year. So let's go and give him a hand and bring him up, Mr. Mercer.
Awesome. Thank you, Trey. So I looked it up while he was talking. My exact average order is 765, and I'm actually on pace for 400,000 for this year. So I'm ahead of my goal, which is nice. All right. So yeah, first I just want to start off by thanking you for being here. You have made a decision to impact your business, your life in some way, shape, or form. But you made a decision to be here. So I want to say thank you. And I don't know if Trey's already said thank you for that. I'm sure he already feels that. But I just wanted to say thank you for actually making a decision to do something with your life. Not to sit on your cam playing video games, which I'm not against video games, but just to do something for your life. And I just want to say thank you for doing that. My talk is going to be on it's kind of like a two-part talk. It's going to be on taking your mindset, thinking to a different level, right? And to how to do a service call, how to sell to people who already own Cutco. Okay. How many of you know how to do a service call here? Just so I know. So this is not. So not many people in here know how to sharpen the knives. Okay. I'm just want to get a feel for who I'm talking to. So right, for a few. But okay. So I'm going to talk to you. I'll make a couple I'll mention a little bit on that. I'll also talk about how to just inspect the knives if you don't know or not trained on how to service
Cutco. If you don't know how to, talk to your manager and they will show you how to actually sharpen Cutco. What's the best thing you can do regardless? If someone's knives are like just crappy, send them back. That's gonna be the best thing. So anyway, that's gonna be my message. Is gonna be on two parts. I do have a handout which they said they printed. Okay, and I think this is not coming out yet, but this is gonna be a handout on the mindset. I hear we might not have enough, I think. Okay, cool. Thank you. And you're Adi?
Adi.
Adi, thank you. Okay, so yes, again, thank you for being here. This is going to be awesome. So I want you to take notes heavily on this message. Okay, I do have a handout on it, but it's not everything that I'm talking about. I'll tell you what is very important to write down, but just I want your hands to be sore or typing like crazy, but I want you to make sure you are taking a lot of notes on this, because I'm not just going to be here to talk to you about how to do a white book demonstration. I want your mindset to be different. I want you walking into an appointment, I want you to be a different person than who you are right now. Does that make sense? Okay. First, before I go into the talk, I have it, actually I found this new app that you can download. It's like flashcards. I don't know if you've heard of this, but it's pretty cool. I can just it's like flashcards for my talk. So I thought that was awesome. First thing I want you to write down is decision. Okay. You've already made a decision to be here. You're going to be making a decision to push for the SC1 push. You're going to have tons of decisions throughout your life. Where to go to school, who you're going to marry, where you're going to live, what car you're going to drive, what job you're going to take, who you're going to say no to, who are you going to say yes to. There's going to be a lot of yeses that you're going to say. You have to also learn how to say no. Is that correct? You have to have good boundaries in your life. You're just going to learn how to make decisions. Okay? And decisions, the power to make a decision can impact your life for forever. Okay? You take away your decision, you have someone else make that decision, or you let circumstances dictate your life, then you're on a different path altogether. Okay, so you have to make a decision on to push, to work hard, to grow yourself financially and in your business and intellectually and all that other good stuff. Okay, 4 steps on making a decision. Okay. And again, I want to emphasize this. Don't let your circumstances dictate your decisions. Don't let excuses say, I'm going to only do this well. That needs to be clear off your plate right now. I was just talking to Brett. Him and I'm not going to share your personal experience, but when I first started, I didn't have a car. I did not have a car at all. I had to borrow cars. I ended up having a 10K fast start and being the #1 rep for the summer, borrowing my girlfriend's car, the girlfriend I was dating at the time, and parents and stuff. So I just found a way. So I don't care what type of lifestyle you've had in the past. I don't care what type of situations that have come. I don't care if I'm not hopefully pulling, I don't know what I'm trying to say, calling somebody out. I hope no one has lost their leg. But if you've lost your leg, it doesn't matter. You can dictate what type of success you want to make happen in your life. It is not too late. Okay? So the 4 steps on making a decision. 1, make your decision clear and decide what you want. Okay? Don't try second guessing a lot. The more you second guessing, that means you haven't even actually made a decision yet. You're just in a fearful state, or you're on I'm going to second guess state, whatever you want to call that. Your decision happens. Once you make a decision, stick with your decision. Okay? Now, with that being said, don't be afraid to fail. How many times did it take Thomas Edison to make a light bulb? A lot, but he doesn't really count that as much as how many times did he make a light bulb? 1 time. It only took him 1 time. But how many times did it take him to go through this fails? How many demos have you gone through and you just walked out and you're like, oh my gosh, that was horrible? You ever had that experience? Sure, like in your first week, you probably had that experience. I know I had that experience. You're just going to walk out and I don't even know what happened. I remember this one appointment. it still kind of like bothers me today. This lady was just, she was mean. I don't know how to describe it. Like, she was literally thoroughly just a mean woman. And I was nice. I walked in there. I was like, hey, I just wanted to, help you sharpen your knives, and you're gonna sell me, aren't you? And I was like, oh my gosh, there is something not right. She must have had a bad day or something. And you just shrug it off. And so that's just stuff's gonna happen. And don't be afraid, like I said, to fail. So just make your decision. Next is know what you want. So know what you want. Second point is take action. And that's kind of like what I just talked about. Third step is know what works and know what does not work. Okay? Know what works and know what does not work. Through your process of learning, you're going to find out things that are going to work, and you're going to find out things that are not going to work. That's just going to happen. Now, I will say something that I learned yesterday from my fiance, and she's taking an art class, is don't try to, most artists don't try to create new art until they've mastered art. Make sense? So don't try to develop a whole new wheel until you actually understand the wheel. Make sense? So just focus on what I'm going to be teaching you here in a bit. And then keep learning and keep tweaking. Over time, after you've mastered your program, mastered how to sell to people who already own Cutco, see what you can do to take it further. Okay? Because there's some things that I bet you there's something in here in this room that somebody has learned from doing appointments that I don't know, that you could probably teach me on something. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Next thing after decision, I want you to write down the power of belief. The power of belief. This is something that's going to take you almost your entire life to keep learning and relearning. But your beliefs will affect your life. From you being, if you look at people who have had powerful beliefs, from a Mother Teresa to a Hitler, right? Your beliefs will dictate what person you are going to become later on. If you are the type of person that believes to the core of your being that, I'm a failure. I've been a failure a lot of my life. I can't do much. Could you see a pattern going on for the rest of your life, what type of life that person's going to lead? By the way, you have the power to change your beliefs instantly. What do you have to do? And I just talked about it for about 5 minutes before. You have to make a decision. You have to choose, okay? But your beliefs are going to impact your life drastically. I'm a Christian, so I'm going to quote a Bible passage. So there's a difference between believing you're a failure, or this is from Psalms 139:14. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Has anybody heard that passage before? Okay. You are awesome. Everybody in this room, there is nothing better or worse than the next person beside you. Besides you, unless you've made a decision to do whatever. But you have all the talent, you have all the skills, you have the brain power, you have the physicality, you can do that. And even if you have some limitations, doesn't mean you are better or less than the other person. The best thing that you have right now is your mind. There's a lady that I respect fully who's been selling Cutco as long as I've been selling Cutco. She's out in Florida. Her name's San Latrico. Okay, she is cerebral palsy. I can never pronounce that word right. She has to have her customers pick up her demo bag and carry it into the house. She tells them that on the phone. It's like, hey, do you have stairs? It's like, I have cerebral palsy. I can't get up the stairs. I'm gonna need your help to get up the stairs. And she tells them. She has almost outsold me and Cutco on several pushes. She's had several 20K pushes. She's had several 30K pushes. And she has cerebral palsy. Right? So make sure your beliefs are what's going to dictate what type of person you're going to. If you're going to believe that you're going to have a 10K faster or a 10K push, you best believe that's going to happen. If you have any, what's the destroyer of belief? Doubt. I think of, when you're a kid, like when you see all those little kids and they all like to dance for some reason. Some of them maybe not, but they just will dance. They don't care who's looking at them. They believe that they're a dancer, right? There is no limiting beliefs there. But what happens over time? They start to doubt, or people will say something and it causes them to doubt. There's no reason why someone can't dance. I used to teach ballroom dancing, by the way. Everybody starts off with 2 left feet. There's no such thing as I can't dance. because I couldn't dance and just learned. So your beliefs, whatever you believe, it will happen, but you have to believe it. And now I'm going to talk on this note. I read a book called Switch on Your Brain. If you've never heard that book, you need to learn. That's a great book. It is literally talking about how you have control to chemically restructure your brain. You can actually change the chemistry and patterns in your brain. Okay? You do so many things so many times, you're actually creating pathways. That's why addiction is so powerful, because you actually create pathways that trigger addiction. You can actually physically change that, and that comes through decisions, actions. It comes through a lot of this stuff, and your beliefs. So I want you to try to eliminate doubt. Switch on your brain. Switch on your brain. And I like, from that book, I constantly thought about this quote from Matthew Kelly. Has anybody heard of Matthew Kelly? Matthew Kelly is a great author. If you've never read any of his books, great author. I read like almost all of them. Matthew Kelly talks about our lives change when our habits change. Okay? When you start changing your life, it's because you've actually changed habits. If you make a small decision to change today, that you can still go back to your old habits. This is all that repatterning of your brain. So if you have any limiting beliefs, that is a pattern that you've developed over the years that you've been alive. Okay, so you have to choose to change that. Make sense? Okay. All right. Going with this message that I'm about to hand out, for taking your business to the next level, just take one and pass it down. Before going into servicing a client, so that way you can show them more Cutco and everything. That's my other part of that talk, is servicing. But before you can even start to think about servicing, you have to be genuinely interested. So this stuff that I'm handing, that I just passed out, is actually from the book Genuine, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Has anybody heard that book? Okay. I'm not taking everything from his book, but I highlighted some very important things that you want to take note. You have to, when you're doing a service call, when you're doing any type of demo, who are you thinking about? Honestly. Yourself. What are you thinking about? Making a sale, hitting your goals. I. You're thinking about yourself. Who's the most important person in your life? Yourself. Okay? Who's the most important person in their lives? Themselves. Who do you have to care about? Them. Right? So that's why I really wanted to hit on this, because if you're going into a service call to sell Cutco and you're thinking about yourself, you're going to have a lower sales ratio, and you're going to sell less. I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. You have to care about your person. You need to think about this, by the way, with all of your appointments. You're not just selling them Cutco. You're selling them something that they want and they're going to use and they're going to like for the rest of their lives. Okay? But you have to keep their interests in mind. From the book, he used a really good analogy. If you're going fishing, right? I like mangoes. I love mangoes. I can eat my weight in mangoes. Right? But if I put mangoes on my bait, and I try to fish, am I thinking about what the fish wants, or am I thinking about myself? I'm thinking about what I want. So this concept, by the way, he took from ancient history from kings who took that type of analogy to help with their dynasties. And I thought that was very interesting. So you have to think about what they want. Okay? So that's very important. Let's see if I'm on the top. Okay? Also, I want to hit on, before going into this page, is this topic right here is about being genuine. There's a big difference between genuine and flattery. Okay, what is flattery? Can anybody tell me what flattery is? Did you raise your hand? What's your name? Oh, was that a sign? Raise your hand. No, you didn't move. Was that someone I just saw in the corner of my eye? What would flattery be versus? Yeah, and think about genuine interest and flattery. What would you say the difference between those would be?
genuine is like actually meaning it, whereas flattery is just kind of saying it to say something.
Right.
To just compliment to get like points, like extra points.
Yeah, one has their interest in mind, the other one has your interest in mind. Okay? So you want to be very there's a very fine line between flattery and genuine. So if you're going in there and you're going to try to be genuine, but again, your subconscious is really still thinking about yourself, it's going to come across as flattering, and they can tell. So you do have to care about the people that you're talking about. So let's go through this. I'll get some ones to highlight on here. I want you to underline. And then we'll go through, kind of tie this into a service call. And then I'll go through how to have a service call. Become a friendly person. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Nobody likes a negative person. Any type of negative comment, don't criticize, don't complain. If there's something you don't like in their house and you think it's the ugliest painting in the world, don't don't even try to fake it either. Oh, that looks great. That's flattery. Make sense? So, again, being generous. Give honest and sincere appreciation. Thank them for taking their time. Okay? The famous magician, very famous magician past.
Houdini.
Thank you, Houdini. Thank you. I was blanking on his name. Houdini, when he went to perform, he had something that stood out to him that separated him from everybody else. And one of the reasons, and this is what he contributed to, he's like, I cared about my audience. They took time to spend with me for me to entertain them. And they were genuine. And that was one of the big things that he contributed his success, besides his magic work, right? And he cared about the people. He was out there for himself. He would spend hours before his show thinking about his people, like trying to get in touch with them emotionally, like I'm here for my people, okay? So show sincere appreciation for them taking time to see you. Arousing the other person to eager want. This comes through cutting, building value with the knives. If you're doing a service call, you'll show, you'll basically go through like the points of like why they like cut, or their warranty and stuff like that. The next point, I want you to circle, highlight, underline this one. Become genuinely interested in the other person. That is something. That's what this whole thing is about. Become genuinely interested in the other person. Smile. How many of you smile on the phone? Need to start smiling on the phone. They can hear it. So it's good. Smile on the phone. Now, smiling in your life, make sure that it's not fake. It's not like, you know how they can tell when someone smiles, their whole face smiles. Now, I'm not saying for you to smile the entire time. Somebody, like when I go to an appointment, I'm very real with them, but I make sure that when I hear something that's nice, or when I see them, I'm smiling. That plays into being genuine. Highlight, circle this one. Remember that a person's name is to that person the most important sound in any language. The sweetest sound of the human ear is your own name. Okay? How many of you practice this? I need some water here. How many of you practice saying the waitress or waiter's name when you get served? That is huge. Oh my gosh, you'll get so much better service by saying their name. You'll get a nicer experience. Actually, I have trouble for some water. Thank you. My mouth's getting wet. I'm gonna start coughing here, and allergies are really bad. So yeah, saying their name, saying it as many times as you can. That shows you being genuinely interested in that. Underline this one. Underline the first sentence. Be a good listener. This is going to take skill. This takes years of learning. By the way, it's not just listening. This is the language us guys hear all the time when a girlfriend's like, "Hey, are you listening?" You ever heard this, guys? Like, "Are you listening?" No, you're not really listening. It's like I hear what you're saying, but you're not really listening. Have you ever heard that before? I know I get that all the time. So being a good listener is understanding. Thank you so much. So being a good listener is finding out what they want. This is going to take skill from just experience. You're going to be finding out what type of knives they want, what type of knives they don't want, what type of cooking styles that they like. If you try to sell something to someone that they have no need for it, you are not listening to them. If you're trying to sell something to them that they're not going to use, you're not listening to them. Okay. talk in terms of what other person's interests. Make sure that you're having their interests in mind the entire time. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Do not argue with the customer. That is a big, even though you're right. I've had so many times where a customer's like, oh yeah, this knife is the best for that. Like, wrong. Avoid that word altogether. You're wrong or wrong altogether. That should eliminate from your vocabulary. You've heard that customer's always right. They don't always have to be right in a sense. Like we always have to say that you're right, but they're never wrong. Does that make sense? Okay. That goes into the next part. Show respect to the other person's opinions. Never say you're wrong. Underline that. That is big. Never say that you're wrong. If you are wrong, admit it quickly and empathetically. Humility is a great virtue. If you're not strong in humility, it's not too late to start. Humility is a great virtue. If you're wrong or if you mess up, say it. Now, some of the times they don't know that you messed up. If you're like reading a white book and they don't know that you just keep going, that's fine. That's not what I'm talking about. But you know when you're wrong, and you know, I don't know if I need to like really dive into that, but I think you'll all know when you're wrong. Just a minute. Begin in a friendly way. I think y'all do that from building rapport. Getting the other person to say yes immediately. How many times do you try to get a yes on pieces? Good. That's what I mean. Get yeses on pieces. If you're not getting a yes, you either have to learn how to appropriately show that knife, or there's just flat out they're never going to use it. Like they're just ever going to use it. Make sense? So don't try to push it. Let the other person do a great deal of talking. That comes with building rapport. You have 2 ears, 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you're talking. Now let the other person feel their ideas are his or hers. So making sure that if they have a great idea, support that. If they come up with a cool use of a knife or whatever, a gadget or some other, it could be off the top, you could be building a rapport about something else. Making sure that you're showing appreciation for that. Underline this part. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. I'm going to butcher this quote, but they were saying something like half the part of sales is putting yourself in the other person's shoes, understanding where they're at, and then taking what you know, the knowledge that you have, and using that to help them get what they want. And that comes with skill over time. Apply it to the nobler motives. I have no idea what that would go towards. Just be an awesome person. And then dramatize your ideas. I don't know what that means either, but I don't know how to apply that to sales, but it was on this handout. All right. You already learned about any questions, any ideas, any thoughts, any crazy ideas? Huh? I'm awesome. Thank you. I love that. Is that flattery or is that genuine? Okay, that's awesome. Cool. Any ideas? All right, let's go into a service call. I have the steps. I have this down to a science. If you don't have the Ed Reed, I think it's called the Ed Reed sharpener, get one. It's $20 maybe, I think. I can't remember. 30 bucks. A great investment. So I'm going to go through the process of you running into a customer that owns Cutco. Now, if you're doing a demo and they happen to own Cutco, that's a different story. Okay, I'm talking about like you got a referral and you know that they own Cutco. So by starting at the phone approach, you know that you can actually service their knives. Okay, that's what I mean by service call. You're actually going there with the intention, and they know that you're coming over with the intention of helping them service their knives that they already have because they paid for it when they got their warranty. Okay. Thank you for that water. It's huge. Okay, starts on the phone. Okay, so it starts on the phone. You want to write this down. I'm not going to give you so much phone skills talk. You know to smile, say it over and over again, role play a lot, so it becomes a little bit more natural. That's not what I said to talk, but I'll tell you what to say on the phone. Hey, Mrs. Jones. I'll tell you what you need to say word for word, but I love it. I don't have this scripted out, so just get the gist of idea. But there are some parts I want you to really hit. Hey, Mrs. Jones, it's Anthony. You know, you remind them how you met them. Like, hey, I was just over at Susie's house, and they said that you actually have Cutco. You know the knives that you have in your kitchen. Awesome. Do you still have all 10 of your fingers? I like to say that. I always like just making sure. Hey, do you have all 10 of your fingers still? That's great. I hear that you've had Cutco for. You can say that, or if you've already gotten that year, like if they know that they've had Cutco for 5 years. I hear that you've had Cutco for 5 years. That's awesome. How do you like them? You're starting off with something positive. So that's really good. So always start with something with smiling, something positive. Anyways, Mrs. Jones, I'm actually one of the service reps in the area, and I hear that you've had your knives for X amount of times. If they've had them for 3 to 5 years, that's when we recommend probably getting them touched up. So if they've just bought them, if they've just bought them, by the way, and their knives are dull, just ask them. Like, hey, don't just assume that if they just bought them this year or a year that their knives don't need sharpening. I have a client that refuses to get a block. She throws all of her knives into a drawer. It's her Cutco drawer. There's nothing separating them. They just bang against each other, blade on blade. They're dulling there. I have to send her knives back every year. She just refuses to get a block and to protect her knives. So just don't assume that they don't need the knives. Hey, how's your knives doing? Great. The company recommends you getting service for 3 to 5 years. I know that you said you had them for 7 years, 17 years, 27 years, whatever. That's awesome. Or when was the last time you've had them sharpened? If they've had Cutco for a long time, you can say that. When was the last time you had them sharpened? Okay. Oh, I've never had them sharpened? Oh, okay. I'll come and help you out. That's great. Well, you know about our warranty with the free sharpening. You can just remind them. Remind them about the warranty. I'll write that down. Like, you remember you got the free sharpening for one. All right. So, so what I do is I'll just come by. This is what you want to say. You're going to say this 3 times. 1 is on the phone. Twice is going to be during the appointment. You're saying what you're going to be doing. Okay. I learned this the hard way. I would just go over there and sharpen the knives. And then when I was done sharpening their knives, guess what they thought?
You're done.
Bye. They thought I was done. It's like, well, no, I want to show you some stuff. And so I had to start saying this on the phone. So what I'll do is I'm going to come by and sharpen your knives. This is what you want to say, like clockwork, every single time. Do not miss this part. This is how you set yourself up to making a sale on the appointment. Okay? I'm going to come service your knives. I'm going to teach you some things that will help keep your knives staying sharp longer. I'm going to teach you some things that will help keep your knives staying sharp longer. You can even say this so you don't have to see me as well, see us as often. Do a review on the knives that you have, just to make sure that you're using them properly. So you notice all this conversation is all about them, right? I'm using you language. You language. I learned this through some marriage preps. You language is a lot better than I language, especially when you're fighting. You did this. No. I feel. Yeah. I'm going to do a review on the knives that you have just to make sure that you use them properly. And then what was the last part? And then we'll take a look at the some new stuff at the end. It's a little plug. And then the last part, we'll just take a look at some of the new things that Cutco has. Okay. So that way they know that you're also going to be showing them Cutco. Okay. Now, going to the service. Repeat anything? We got it? Cool. Going on to the service call. Normal building rapport. You show up. How's it going? All right. When you get in there, you're going to go to the kitchen. You're going to see the knives. But while you're building rapport or whatnot, before you start sharpening, guess what you want to remind them, because they've already forgotten it. What you just said. You're going to say those exact same things. Hey, just like I said on the phone, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sharpen your knives. And you can even say, like, hey, by the way, if there's anything I can't sharpen, I'm going to help you send them back. Okay. Sharpen your knives. I'm going to teach you some things that will help keep your knives staying sharp longer. I'm going to do a review on the knives you have, just to make sure you're using them properly. And then at the end, we'll take a look at some of the new stuff. And like, great. Okay. All right, so and then you're gonna pretty much say this same thing right between going to show them Cutco and finishing your service. Okay, you are there to service them. Okay? They need to feel like it's a service. They do not need to feel. Can someone tell that you're being sold to?
Yes.
So make sure you are giving yourself to somebody. That is the definition of love. Did y'all know that? So a lot of people are like, how do you define love? Well, it's a feeling. No, it's not a feeling. It's a choice, and it's a selfless gift. Okay? That is what you're doing to them. You are loving on the customer. You are giving them love. You're doing something for them, not for yourself. Right? This is why they love Cutco, by the way, for years and years and years. They rant or rave about your service that you give them for every time. When I would run into people that have seen Cutco and tried to service them before, they would sometimes either talk about good things about their rep, or sometimes they would not talk about good things about the rep. Which one do you want to be? Right. You have that decision. Okay. Okay. So here's how the service call. If you have a sharpener, you're going to go through. I'm not going to teach you sharpening. You're going to have to learn how to sharpen. If you don't, you're just going to expect their knives. Okay? Here's the first test I do. I'll take a piece of paper, straight edges. I'll try to cut the piece of paper. Okay. And then if when I have the sharpener, I'll do a before and after. So I'll cut the piece of paper, and it usually doesn't cut. Then I'll sharpen the knives and show them how it cuts again afterwards. If you don't have a sharpener, you're just going to look at the blades. You're going to look at the teeth of the double D edge. If it looks pretty low, just send them back. Help them send it back. Like, I don't know what the shipping charges are. It's like they just changed them, so you're going to have to get that from your manager. What the price is for them to ship it back. Okay. But help them wrap it up for them. Here, do not just tell them where the address is and drop it off, because guess what happens?
They're gonna forget.
They forget, they don't do it, they start cutting again. They're like, oh, I need my knife, so then they just go back to their regular lifestyle. Wrap up their knives for them, put it in, ask for paper towels or a thin cardboard from like old cereal boxes, and just tape them up for them, get them the address, and then get that ready. So they literally, all they have to do is walk out the door. So just ask them, I always ask them for, hey, can I get a roll of paper towels and some tape or rubber bands? And you can clung all the knives together if you want. They're going to be sharpened, so it doesn't really matter. You don't have to be nice and pretty about it. You're going to write a note that's going to go in with it, or you can order the service sheets that they can send back. This is what I always did. I always wrote a note that I had them fill out while I was, inspecting their knives. I'd have them write their name, their return address, their telephone number, and then one or two things that they love about Cutco. So for the people that sharpen the knives, they can read it. And I even say, like, sometimes, by the way, they post those testimonials online, because there are testimonials online. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but I know that from being up at Ole, those people do actually like reading the testimonials. And there's some crazy ones out there, including a guy had to sleep on a couch because he broke his wife's knife. Not even kidding. So write one or two things. That gets them doing something while you're looking at the knives, sharpening. I'll say, hey, by the way, I'm going to write my rep number on here. So that way it'll kind of help with the process. So make sure you put your name and rep number on there. That'll also give the company a chance to reach out to you in case they have any questions or whatever. Okay. So as you're sharpening or inspecting their knives, it's like, hey, while I'm doing this, Mrs. Jones, I'm also going to teach you some things that will actually help keep your knives going longer, so you don't have to see us as often. Okay, cool. There's 3 or 4 of them. One is the number one reasons why knives go dull, by the way, are, do y'all know? Very close. What happens when you put them in a drawer? Blade on blade contact, hard surfaces. Those are the two. This is not something you could say this to your customers, but I want you to know that concept. What dulls knives is hard surfaces and blade on blade contact. Really, there's nothing else that really dulls knives. Okay. So first, Mrs. Jones, I don't know which order I do them. One is the chopping knife. You know the chopping knife, you can scrape at the back of the knife, right? Okay, don't scrape with the blade. Now you can say, Mrs. Jones, by the way, I know that's not going to cause your knife to go dull right away, But over time, if you keep scraping with it, you're going to notice that it's going to affect the blade years on doing that. So I always teach them how to scrape at the back of the blade. Okay. This next tip is going to help you sell cutting boards and a set. This single one. You need to star this one, highlight this one. Okay, Mr. Jones. Yeah, this is how I say it. I say it word for word every single time. If you were to ask any chef, Mr. Jones, if you were to ask any chef, they're going to tell you the same thing. If you were to ask any chef, they're going to tell you the same thing. The two most important things that you can do to keep your knife staying sharp longer. The two most important things you can do to keep your knife staying sharp longer is to store them in a wood block and a cut on a proper cutting surface. Store them in a wood block and a cut on a proper cutting surface. So, what is a proper cutting surface? Cut goes one of them, yeah. What is not a good cutting surface? Glass is the worst. What else? Granite is, okay, so I've actually met a lady that did the granite countertops. And you know how they will give a home a granite cutting board and it's really like the cut out of the sink? You know why they say, hey, here's a free cutting board? Because they don't want to carry it in their truck. They simply just don't want to take it with them. That's the reason why. I was like, are you serious? That is so messed up. You're like destroying people's knives. Like they're just lazy. That was it. I met the owner, like one of the owners or head CEOs, and they're like, we just don't want to carry one. That costs more gas on our truck, and we have nothing to do with them afterwards. So we have to dispose of them. So that's our way of disposing of them. So it's like, and I was thinking like, well, maybe they're thinking it actually could be a great cutting board. No, they just don't even, they're just saying that just so they can get it. It's like, are you serious? I'm like, it blew me away. Anyway, anything hard, that's going to be really bad. Hard plastics and hard woods. Hard plastics and hard woods. Okay. I was in a customer's house and they had a brand new cutting board. It was bamboo. Unwrapped. It was still in this wrapper. On the front of it, it said 18% harder than most woods. And they're selling it that way. Why are they selling it that way? Why? Why does somebody like hard, why does glass, why do they sell glass cutting boards?
Durability.
Not quite. The aesthetics, not quite. Sometimes it could be aesthetics. Sanitation. It's easier to clean. No bacteria, which is 100% accurate. You cut on a glass, there's no bacteria on the glass. Like you clean it, you bacteria. That's true. Even with harder woods, it's going to hold less bacteria, but it also damages the knives. Okay? That's why if you see a chef, a chef having a good cutting board, it's really thick, and they usually sand it down because it holds bacteria. They have to keep it, or they replace it every few months. They get a new cutting board every few months. So I tell my customers, hey, you don't need to replace your cutting boards every few months. You can just replace it every few years. But the beautiful thing about our cutting boards, Mrs. Jones, as you know, we have a forever warranty. So every few years, you can just send it back to the company and get a new cutting board. That you just sold an accessory, by the way. I don't think I've never not sold a cutting board because of that one line right there. Okay. So even if you don't sell a set, they're gonna at least get a cutting board. Okay. So, all right. So those are the two most important things: is a wood block and a cutting board. And then I ask them, how are they cleaning their knives? Mr. Jones, do you throw them in the dishwasher? Do you clean by hand? A little bit of both, whatnot. Okay, our knives are dishwasher safe. They are 100% dishwasher safe. I don't recommend putting in the dishwasher. I do not recommend, I tell all my customers, do not put it in the dishwasher. Here's the reason why. Blade on blade contact. They move around, they throw their paring knife with all their forks and spoons, with all the other knives. They throw their steak knives and all their forks and spoons. Now, if you're like my mom doesn't care. She's just like, oh, you have a free warranty. I'm like, yeah, you have a free warranty. You can do whatever you want. Like this, like I said, my one lady sends her knives back once a year. Whatever. But if you want them to last longer, try to wash them by hand. Also, if you're going to wash them by hand, don't throw them in the sink. I tell my customers, don't throw them in the sink because you have the edge of the sink. You have plates, you have glasses, you have other knives in there. Get one of those drying mats. You can get them at Bed Bath & Beyond. wash them, put them in, let them dry, and then put them right back in the block. So those are the 3 things that I teach how to keep the knives staying sharp. Anybody want to repeat them for me?
Don't do them the same.
Go. I want to hear it. Dishwasher cleaning.
Don't have blade on blade contact.
So yeah, blade on blade. Cutting boards. Yep. I categorize them into 3. One is the teaching of the chef knife. Scraping the back. The other one is the 2 most important ones, if you ask any chef, which is the
Block.
thank you,
And the cutting boards.
cutting boards. And the last one is the cleaning. Those are the 3 things I teach. Does anybody need to repeat anything? Am I on time? Hello. All right. After that, you send them back to the knives, and then you move on to the demo, the service call. Now, I'm not going to go through dropping down, okay, because y'all know how to drop down, but I am going to go on to how to sell a set quick, okay? You want to, how I sell ultimates, whether I'm selling a set or I'm selling an upgrade. It's your preference. You can use a blue book. I don't use a blue book, but I also had all the knives. So if you have all the knives, I just like having the visual. If you don't have all the knives, then use the handout.
Guys, one thing you can do up to that point, and this is an investment now, but if you go on to vectorconnect.com, you can buy samples at a nasty discount. You can get 1 of each.
You'll never get Cutco that cheap.
No.
Ever. Not even close. You don't even get Cutco that cheap. Yeah. You'll never like
contest in the office. I mean, it's literally one. You can and you can get the rest of your homemaker set for something like $100, $80, something like that.
It's like stupid cheap.
You can get you get the gourmet pieces for like 150, maybe 180, which is less than what it costs to get the cleaver.
Yeah, and that it will almost triple your average order.
Here's the thing, guys: if you're only going to work for a summer or 2, when you're done working, just sell that for cash.
Sell for cash or keep it for the rest of your life.
You're gonna be mad, and I'll be even more angry because that's not what we do. We don't sell it. You don't get it at a discount and then try to
right.
The profit. That's, you start doing that, the company will take away the ability to get it. It's designed for you guys to have forever if you want it.
Yeah.
Or when you're done working. Yeah.
So we buy the sample pieces to sell the right?
What's that?
Like we buy the sample pieces to sell the guarantee, right?
Oh yeah. Anything Cutco.
You'll have to literally, if you don't only sell for the summer, you're gonna have them literally to the day you die. I mean, it's awesome. You'll never get Cutco that cheap. I'm gonna try to wrap things up here, but I do want to hit this point. So when I upgrade, this is what I do. I'm gonna show you, Mrs. Jones, what an upgrade is. Upgrade basically means I'm gonna take one of our sets and we're gonna subtract what you already have from it. Okay? Take a set, subtract what you have. Write this note to your side. This is going to be a huge help for you, and you'll know as soon as you do a service call or you try to sell Cutco to people already on Cutco. Memorize the prices of each piece. Block, cutting board, everything. Memorize it, because when you're trying to calculate that on your calculator, you're trying to go through a price list. It takes so much time. Just memorize them and get it done really quick. Okay? Memorize those prices. Quiz each other on it. That'll save you so much time. So my upgrade, I categorize the complete set into categories. I do not go piece by piece. I go by categories. I write these categories down. Your vegetables and fruits. Vegetables and fruits. Your meats. And you can call them this or whatever not, because I'm going to give you the knives that I put in each one of these. Your breads. And then there's like, I think I just do the cheese knife by itself. Like, that's pretty much it. Scissors by itself, whatever. I'm gonna go pretty quickly on this. Vegetables, your chopping knives, which will be your chef knife, your Santoku knife. If you don't know how to sell the difference between that, I can talk to you afterwards. It's great. The vegetable knife, I call that the tough vegetable knife. I do not call it the vegetable knife, I call it the tough vegetable knife. A buddy of mine who sells Cutco down in Jacksonville, Florida, he was cutting an acorn squash. You don't know what an acorn squash is? With this knife, and his hand slipped right off the end, and he cut himself from the center of his hand out, and he's a scar that he shows all of his customers. These knives are not designed for you to put your hand on top for hard things. You can get away with it for celery, sure, but if you're pushing down on it, not safe. The tough vegetable knife, which is like the vegetable cleaver, if you want to say, that one's that. Your paring knives, and I call the butcher knife the melon knife. Have y'all heard that yet? Call the butcher knife the melon knife. Okay. Meats. I do not, by the way, I do not, you know how I just said acorn squash, butternut squash? Cutco says the Hardy slicer is the best for that. That is not true. I've tried it, and that is not true. Try cutting a hard thing with one hand. It's not hard when you can do two hands with a vegetable knife. It's a lot easier, and you can just go right through, right down. So meats, Hardy slicer, the carver, the cleaver, and the two fillet knives. I call them the two fillet knives. I call the salmon knife the fillet knife, and then I call the boning knife the boning knife. Cheese knife is pretty much by itself. Oh, I do call the trimmer and the petite carver utility knives. Pretty much what they are. Being real. They're just a bigger and smaller version of the same knife. That's really what it is. All right. I call it a utility knife. That's like you're like, I just need to cut something really quick. And depending on the size of it, I'll grab the large utility or the big small. Scissors by itself. Breads would be the spatula and the two breads. Okay. And then you have the steak knives and table knives. So when you're going through and showing them accessories, categorize them in that those groups. If you're bringing out the knives, take them back out. Like, or I bring out like the category and then I put the category away. So that way, at the end of my presentation, I don't have a bunch of knives all over the table because that could be also overwhelming to them. They're like, "This is huge," and their whole table's covered with like knives. Am I being recorded? I don't know. Maybe someone else is Skyping in. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a
Hi there. I don't know who you are, but nice to meet you.
It's a report.
Cool. So you're going to subtract what they don't have. This is where listening takes key. Listening to what they do, what they don't do. That's where you can recommend. And you might have to, take a blow and be like, hey, Mrs. Jones, you really don't cook that much, and I'm probably not going to recommend you getting this set. And that shows them that you're on their side, by the way. That you are guaranteed to have a higher sale on that, using that line, than you would if you kept pushing a set and you drop down even too slowly. You can drop down and they're like, I'm like way down here, you're way up here, like we're not even close yet. Make sense? Still need to drop down. Now dropping down could take two different paths. You can drop down on a set, or you can drop down on the same set but call it a builder. Does that mean what a builder is? You drop down, basically you drop down to a signature, but you still keep the ultimate block. Or you have to drop down to a signature and then you drop down again, but to a signature builder, because you can tell which set they really like. Like, oh, I really like this set, but it's just the cost. That's when you kind of like can do the builder. Like, oh, then I recommend just getting this block then, because you're going to come back and buy again, and then you don't have to buy two blocks. By the way, you're probably going to see some of my customers out there. I have several builders out there. If you see a customer with Ultimate with not all the knives in it, we've done that before. So that's a great way for you to sell to them. Okay. Dual close. Anybody need to go down on the dropping down? The drop down process. Drop down slowly. Make sure you're listening. But drop down two different ways. But listen to what they want to drop down on. Is it too many knives or is it too much money? For the close, y'all know the dual close. Yes or no? Okay. My close. Very straightforward. Get a piece of paper. Find out if you're not used to how much you can give away for free. Okay. Call a manager at this. I utilize my manager all the time. How many of y'all utilize their manager to get a sale? Oh my gosh, that is your easiest sale you've ever gotten is through your manager. Right on there, the price. I write price. Anything that's super important here or not too important?
The
Kinda
right
raising
side's
it.
not.
All right. When I do a close, this is it. You have your regular price, $17.93, whatever. I put in parentheses how much it is per month. You know, that'll be like $4. And then I write how much they're getting away for free. Whatever, $200 free. Do not, if you're closing on a big order, do not feel like you need to give them $500 for the free cacao. I've lost sales by giving away too much stuff. Isn't that a weird concept? I was giving them $500 of the cacao for an ultimate set, and they turned it down because it was too much free stuff. They couldn't find out what they could use the free stuff for. They're like, I wouldn't use it all, so I might as well get a smaller set. And I've lost sales so many times by doing that.
Do you write the price of it, like the amount of savings they're having?
The amount? No, this is the amount, how much it is per month, free cacao. The other close would be, or if you don't want free stuff, Mrs. Jones, I can give you a little bit of a discount. Take whatever you're giving away for free and don't give as much. So if I was giving away $200 for this order, I'd take off $150 for this order, whatever. 643. I think that's right. And then do the thing, and then you would leave this blank. And then you ask them, which one do they want? Would they rather have a discount or would they rather have free stuff? Cool. Now, before I do this line right here, before I do the discount, comes your free stuff, and then after I said, hey, you can get $200 of free stuff, I walk them through the accessories. So that way they know what they can get for free. Like if they're like, oh, y'all have a can opener? That's awesome. You're getting excited. Guess what they're probably going to do? This is going to be better CPO for you. Always. Cool. And then that's pretty much it. And when you leave, make sure, like, hey, again, do I need to review with anything about sending off your knives? Do you have any questions? Leave them your name and number. Like, hey, if you need me, feel free to contact me. I'll be here for you. If you have any questions. Make sure, you're keeping in mind that it is a service. And then thank them for helping you with your goals, too. Any questions? Any thoughts? Any ideas?
All right, let's give him a hand. Just now, he's there.
Okay.
All right, guys. By the way, if you are closing big, sometimes it is sometimes intimidating, and you're like, man, I don't want anybody to cancel the order or to have an order come back, right? So let me give you a quick tip, and then I'm going to introduce Lauren Horton. He's going to talk to you guys about how to become unstoppable. And this tip is how do you make sure that you never have a customer send back orders, okay? And so here's what you say as you're leaving the door. I know Anthony mentioned this a little bit about how do you make sure that you're, thanking them for their goals. But here's what you could say. You say, hey, Ms. Jones, again, I want to thank you again for your Cutco. You're going to love it. When you have it for the next 20, 30 years, you're going to be using it all the time. And I know this may not mean a whole lot to you, but you actually just helped me get some book money for school. Okay? And guys, nobody wants to make that phone call to be like, hey, I know I helped you out with some book money for school, but, okay, so if you want to eliminate getting that little line, throw that in there. Okay? I know this may not mean a whole lot to you, but you actually just helped me out with some book money for school. Okay? And if there's something else that you're saving up money towards, right? Maybe it's a car, maybe it's something else, right? Hey, this may not mean a whole lot to you, but you actually just helped me out with some money towards my car. Or you just helped me out with some money towards, whatever you're building up savings for, okay? But that's a little tip that you could use there to help you out. All right. Well, guys, up next, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, Lauren Horton. And Lauren is somebody, guys, as I mentioned, started in 1977, been selling Cutco for longer than most of you have been alive. Has sold more than probably this entire room right now combined, $1.3 million worth of Cutco. As a manager, is also in the Hall of Fame. which means that he was responsible as a division manager for doing well over $20 million in business as a division manager. He is somebody who, you know, I think son and daughter both sold Cutco, I believe.
My son-in-law sold Cutco, was two-time branch manager. My daughter sold Cutco as well, and a couple other members of the family as well.
So, and he does have grandkids, and they'll be dusting off their sample kit here at some point in the near future as well. But
they work a couple of shows with me.
Yeah, they've already been working.
12.
Already working at a young age. I don't know if that's legal, but hey, you know, Lauren's making moves. He is our home show coordinator here in the in the division, and somebody who you guys will get a chance to work a lot with as you get to Dirty 30 and get to be a part of our show team. So he's going to talk to you guys about becoming unstoppable. And then as soon as he gets done with that, I'm going to show you guys the path and the plan to map out doing over $10,000 in business in 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and give him a hand. Bring him up. This is one
How you guys doing today? Your brains feel like they're gonna explode? In a good way? Good, good. I've got some stuff I'm gonna share with you that I think will definitely make a difference in not only your time working with us, but also in whatever you decide to do with the rest of your life. So you definitely want to get some note paper out, take some notes on some of the stuff I'm gonna share with you. I'm gonna give you 10 steps to becoming unstoppable. And being unstoppable in any kind of business you decide to get into, anything that you want to do with your life. And step number 1 is to take immediate action. Take immediate action. Your actions, I'm going to close that down a little bit. That's what I was reflecting. Your actions reflect your beliefs. Simple as that. Okay. It's what you do that really demonstrates what you believe. And by taking even the smallest steps, okay, you're communicating to yourself and to the world around you that you believe in yourself and you believe in your dreams, okay? In the beginning, you may not feel very confident, much less unstoppable, but however, by taking consistent action, things will begin to change for you. You'll feel that and eventually build your confidence as well, okay? Every action you take will raise your self-esteem and your confidence as well, okay? You're no longer waiting and hoping. You're too busy accomplishing your goals and achieving your dreams that you're set after, okay? If you see yourself as a person that you want to become, act as if you're already that person. Act as if you're an FSM. Act as if you're a system manager. Act as if you're going to have your own office. Act as if you're going to be an All-American, okay? And you will become that person. It's just as simple as that. So that's the key fundamental belief, okay? If you want to become unstoppable, then you have to show the world that you believe in yourself, okay? You can't say, hey, I'm going to be more confident if that's okay with you. That just doesn't work too well, you know. So act confident, act with conviction, okay? And here's an action step for you. Write down one action that you can take immediately that will put your dreams into motion. Simple as that. So one thing that can put your dreams into motion, I'm going to move this around so I can. As you get older, guys, you'll appreciate the fact that your eyes aren't as good as they used to be, so this will help me a little bit here. So I'll put that back. We won't break the glass to open that. Nice K-bar, okay? Step number 2 is acknowledge your untapped potential. Acknowledge your untapped potential. It's commonly agreed that the average person uses only a fraction of their mental capacity. And it's important for all of us to acknowledge that we don't use anywhere near our closest capabilities, that we all have enormous potential. You have enormous potential within us to be and do so much more, okay? And here's a quotation for you. You're not the victim of your circumstances. Instead, you're the master of them. So many people want to go through life. And I had a girl that worked for me many, many years ago, nice young lady, but every time that something came up, she would always ask me, well, you know, I'm working full time, or I'm going to school full time. I've got this, okay. There was always some reason why she couldn't feel like she could do what everybody else could do. And so I just asked her one time, I said, you have to learn, you know, don't ask for acceptance, learn to be exceptional. And that was my message to her. As long as you keep asking for acceptance, you're always going to limit yourself and limit your abilities. That's what you don't want to take. So never sell yourself short. You can be whatever you want to be, okay? So here's an action step for you. Make a realistic assessment of your current abilities, okay? Now, what if you increase those abilities by just 5% over the next 6 months? And then another 5% after that. And I want to share with you a story. Any basketball fans in here? NBA fans? A couple of them, okay? All right. The LA Acres won the NBA championship in 1985. I'm going back before most of you guys were even born, okay? The next year they lost in the Western Conference Finals, and they did so because their coach, Pat Riley, said they were just being complacent, okay? In 1987, when they started all season, Coach Riley asked each one of his 12 players to identify 5 key areas that they can improve 1%, whether it be rebounding, free throwing, less fouls, shooting, steals, whatever it could be. So he identified 5 key areas for each player, and he asked them to improve not a lot, just 1% in each one of those 5 areas. That don't seem like a lot, but when you take 5% and multiply that times 12 players, that's a 60% increase in that team's efficiency, okay? The result was that year they won 67 games at that time. They won another NBA championship, and then the next year they became the first team in 19 years to repeat as NBA champions 2 years in a row. So it may seem like a lot, but 1%, just identify 5 areas of your business that you can improve 1% at. Whether it be your phone skills, your closing skills, your demo skills, value building, just find some areas that you can improve in. And here's one of my favorite quotations. It's one of my favorite things I say to people. Growth occurs when you leave your comfort zone. Growth occurs when you leave your comfort zone. As simple as that. Point number 3 is you have to watch your internal language. Watch your internal language. We're all plagued with negative thoughts, the yeah buts. It's critical for you to cut those off as soon as they start. Thoughts are things. Whatever you think about constantly is what you'll achieve. If you're going to continually focus on how difficult your goal is, you'll never achieve it. And I'll give you an example of that. I got a good friend of mine I played golf with for many years, and he could beat me by 8, 9, 10 strokes every time we played. He was just so much better than me. But I knew that when we got to a certain hole in the course, I would just simply say, hey, Blake, I don't want to name his name because he's still around. I said, hey, Blake, be careful not to hit it in the lake. And the lake was off to the right. 60% of the time, he'd put one in the water. And it would unnerve him so much, and he'd get so frustrated that the game would fall apart, and that affected him, okay? So it's kind of funny. It's what you think. So another thing, guys, we have what we consider an internal dialogue, what we say to ourselves, talk to ourselves about all night long. Got to make sure that that's a positive thing. When those negative thoughts come up, you have to replace them with problems, as simple as that. Can you change I can't to I can, and say that to yourself all the time? Here's an action step for you. List some of the negative self-talk in which you routinely engage yourself in, and then think about how you can modify that to make it positive, which will help you. Point number 4, neutralize fear and risk. Neutralize fear and risk. Fear is a natural reaction to change. It's the number one reason people hesitate to start anything new, and often instead opt for the old, safe, comfortable, and familiar. Robbins said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So if you're not getting what you want right now out of life, then you've got to change. You've got to do something completely different. Everyone experiences fear when venturing into unknown territory. It's just natural, okay? So you're not the exception in that particular case. Fear is a natural reaction, a physiological reaction to what happens to us, okay? It alerts you to the fact that you need to be prepared to cope or need to escape one or the other. Like the caveman days, the saber-tooth tiger chases after them, and they knew they had to stay and fight or run one or the other. Well, today, the same thing happens. When you're in a classroom, the teacher calls on you, you feel like that saber-tooth tiger is chasing you all over you. It's just in a different way, that's all, okay? The difference between, here's a key point I want you to get in your notes. The difference between successful and unsuccessful people is their response to fear. Response to fear. Successful people will acknowledge the fear and then manage it by confronting the cause and determining how they can prepare for the challenge ahead. One of myself personally, when I was a manager rep and still do today, one of my strategies has always been to thoroughly prepare. I mean, if I was going to run a training class or something, I always make sure all the seats room, everything. I just felt like the more I prepared, the more confidence it gave me that I knew I could accomplish what I wanted to accomplish with that particular event. Okay, it's very simple as that. To overcome fear, you must plunge yourself into the very thing that you fear the most. Simple as that. Only by taking risk can you build your confidence. Cornell University many years ago did a study, and they asked senior citizens and talked to senior citizens, and it was funny. It was the things that the senior citizens, it was a risk they did not take, not the ones they did, that really haunted them. Simple as that. So you should fear not that life will come to an end. You should fear that it shall never have a beginning. Simple as that. Don't be afraid of fear. Dive in and do things. Or in a more blunt fashion, everyone dies, but not everyone really lives. Okay. Approach everything that you do as if you already know you're going to succeed at it. It's as simple as that. Okay. That'll help you neutralize fear and enable you to take a lot more risk. And one thing, guys, is to stay focused on your purpose. Don't get hung up on the process. That's important to you. Jim Rohn says, if you're not willing to risk the unusual, you'll have to settle for the ordinary. Is that what you want? Now, action step for you here. Identify one fear that is stopping you from achieving your goals. Neutralize it, but decide what you can do to prepare yourself for that challenge. Point number 5, and one of my favorites, is to visualize success. To visualize all that you could be is not just to think about it, but to actively see it. The process of imagination, when directed, is known as visualization. Visualization is what you want before it happens. Is one of the most powerful strategies of achievers, especially in sports. In the same way that you develop a goal, you should see yourself achieving that goal in as much detail as possible, okay? As much images as you can imagine, exactly how you want it to happen, okay? Make your goal so powerful that when you finally accomplish it, you have a feeling of deja vu, like you've already done it before, okay? And success is a state of mind, okay? If you want success, start by seeing yourself as a success. Don't be afraid to set big goals. It's the only way to live life. And I'm going to quote it from a guy you guys don't know, a famous comedian named George Burns. He said, I'd rather be a failure doing something that I love than be successful doing something I hate. As simple as that. So action step for you, identify a specific goal that supports your purpose and your passion. Imagine yourself achieving that goal in every detail to create the most exciting or compelling vision that you can imagine. And I'm going to tell you 2 stories here about visualization. One of them involves probably 25, 30 years ago. I was watching the Summer Olympics, and the commentator was talking about a guy who was running the high jump. And right before the high jump, he had put his hands on his knees, and you could see him going. And the commentator said that he had a nervous jerk and nervous reaction, a little twitch, and they're commenting that he didn't know if that would cause him to fail, what the story was. So anyhow, he goes on and sets a gold record, wins a gold medal. And they asked her afterwards, he said, what? He said, before you were jumping, we were noticing that you were doing some, all these gyrations, blah, blah, blah. He says, was you just trying to get that? He says, no, I was watching myself clear the bar before I made the jump. So he was visualizing. So like with the University of Georgia football team, if there's any dog fans in there, have used that process for over 40-something years now, okay? Another one is I had a young man working with me many years ago. His name was David Riordan. And I kind of gave this talk at the same time. He comes in my office about 2 weeks later, and I asked him, I said, what's your biggest summer goal? He says, well, at the end of the summer, this is a while back, guys, so don't laugh at this. He said, I'm going to buy a 1995 Mitsubishi Galant. It's going to be royal blue in color. It's going to have leather. And he started naming off all of the accessories, the gas mileage, everything. And then he showed me, he'd gone to the dealership and he'd open up the book and show me, he says, that's my car. And then he put that car up on his, in his room. So every time he get on the phone at home, he'd see that. And I gave him permission to bring that. I got him another book, put that up in the office. And at the end of that summer, he bought that car. So visualization can help you to become successful. And a lot of times you think about that. Imagine yourself walking up on the stage at SC1 taking a trophy. Imagine what the crowd, the loudness of the crowd. Imagine what the sounds are going to be like, the clinking of glasses and the hollering, the thunder sticks coming together. Visualize yourself succeeding, and you will succeed. Point number 6, practice affirmations. Repeating positive affirmations to your subconscious mind. Oh, I'm sorry, did I mess that up?
Yeah, it's all right.
Okay, that's cool. Okay. I just staring at myself kind of freaked me out a little bit. Okay. Okay. Repeating positive affirmations to your subconscious mind is an excellent method for developing faith. After you continuously repeat an affirmation to oneself, you come to believe it. I can do it. Becomes your mantra. Okay. Muhammad Ali became greatest in his mind before he ever became the greatest in the ring. Okay. Never be satisfied with less than your personal best effort. Here's the thing, guys. If you strive for the top and miss, you'll still be better than most of the people in the crowd. As simple as that. The old saying, shoot for the moon. If you miss, you hit the, shoot for the stars. If you miss, you hit the moon. So action step here. Make a list or write a statement of exactly what you want to accomplish. Place it where you can see it morning and night and repeat it yourself constantly. Point number 7, I think, is huge in the vector business. Number 7, find others to believe in you. This was one of my greatest challenges when I started many, many years ago. It's hard enough to stay positive during challenging times, even when you're supported by positive people. Associating with negative people can mean the certain death of a dream. Unfortunately, it may be difficult to eliminate all the negative people from your life. Since many people have known you for years, especially people that are closest to you, they think of you in the terms of your past experience, not in the terms of what you're capable of or the person you can become today. Had an example of this. I remember sitting down having dinner with a branch manager candidate many years ago and talking to his parents, and about halfway through the dinner, the mom interrupted me. She says, "Lord, I can't buy into this." And I said, "Okay, I can understand how you feel. Tell me what's troubling you." She says, "You want my son to go out and run an office, hire the people, train him to be successful. I can't even get him to make up his own bed." And that's the way she saw him. She still saw him as a child that she had trouble getting him to do just regular routine type things. As it turned out, that young man went out and ran an office this summer, did $254,000 and set a record in Augusta, Georgia, that I think still stands today as first year branch manager. So you just never know. And the reason is sometimes it's easier to find support from somebody that's a complete stranger that doesn't have those pre-existing conditions of what they think you can or cannot do. They have no preconceived ideas about that. Everyone needs someone to believe in them. And unfortunately, those closest to you may not be the best people to fill that role. I know when I first started in the business, my mom and my dad was a union truck driver. My mom had worked for a big company for a long time. And for both of them, it's like, you're going to do what? You're going to go run an office? No, it's too risky. And it finally reached the point to me that when I was married at the time with kids, and my mom says, "You got a wife, you got 2 kids, you got responsibilities. You can't do this. You got to." And it reached the point with me that when I went to visit my parents, I said, "Mom, I love you to death, but my job is off limits. We can't talk about that." Because they knew that she would just be constantly, not positive, negative about the fact that I was taking this humongous risk of going out and chasing after a dream that I thought I could accomplish. And for her, it had always been 40 hours a week, get a paycheck. 40 hours a week, get a paycheck. Stay there long enough to get 2 weeks vacation. And that was her security blanket. That was my dad's security blanket. And that's what they saw. They could not imagine the fact that I was willing to give up everything I had, roll the dice because I thought I could do well. I thought I could succeed. And I say this not to press you, but to impress upon you that I worked for an airline 21 years. My best year ever with that airline is I earned $52,000. My best year ever with that airline. I left that airline in 1989, and I've never had a year with Vector Marketing Corporation that I didn't earn more than that. I'm retired now. I don't even work that much anymore. I work about 100 days a year. And that's about all I want to work. That's all I do work. But I love the fact that every year that I work, I made more and I made more. And I reached a point in my career where I made a lot more. And I reached a point in my career where money wasn't the most important thing anymore. So here's the thing. Negativity. So the key is to find someone that does believe in you. And a lot of times you'll have people right here in this office, managers, other reps, other managers, other people you meet. In the initial stages of implementing your goals and your dreams, share it only with supportive people. Simple as that. Negativity works like poison in our bloodstream. It can poison you. It can weaken your confidence, kill your dreams. Your goals are simply too important and too vital to let that happen to you. You can achieve so much if you just believe in and just willing to let other people believe in you and let other people help you be successful. Here's what I've learned about Vector. I've been in this business June 1st, about a week from now, will be 39 years in this business. And here's what I've learned about this business. One simple question is all you need to ask. I want you to write this question in your note. Will you help me? Will you help me? Those are the only words you need to say to someone, and they will help you. I found so many people in Vector that will help you if you just ask them. I've got one of my mentors and one of my friends sitting right here in the room, and Mr. John Kane. I'm going to take you back to 1993. Mr. John Kane was the #1 office manager in the nation. I was number 7. He kicked my butt by about $60,000, which was a lot back then, not so much now. About 3 months after that, we go on a cruise, a little trip we won in Vector. And he probably don't remember this because he had everybody surrounding him. But I pestered him to death with I'd ask him 10 questions, go back, think of 5 more. The whole week he was on that, I know his wife got tired of it, I know that, but the whole time we're on that cruise, I just kept asking John questions. What do you do this? How do you handle this? What do you happen when this happens? And I went away with more stuff to help me. And I found lots of people like him in our business. In fact, I cannot ever think of anyone in our business at my level, above me, below me, and right now I'm asking people who are new into business that are better at something I'm learning to help me learn a new aspect of our business. And I hope it's going to go well for me. I'm sure it will, but in this business, all you have to ask is, will you help me? And I doubt very seriously if you find too many people who will say no. So it's just simple. You just have to swallow your pride and ask that question. And here's why you want to ask others for help. 3 things. Number 1, a wise man learns from the experience of others. A wise man learns from the experience of others. An ordinary man learns from his own experience. Point number 2, an ordinary man learns from his own experience. And point number 3, a fool learns from nobody's experience. A fool learns from nobody's experience. That's the person who keeps repeating the mistakes over and over again. So, action step. Take an inventory of the people that you know in your life. Identify people who will be supportive and help you. And identify the people that maybe you don't have as much association with in chasing your dreams and other things. I mean, I love my mom to death, continue to see her all the time. When we would talk about family, we never talked about business. Point number 8, draw strength from a higher power. So many successful people read about and hear about say that they drew strength from a higher power. Some people believe that everything happens for a reason. When you believe that every adversity is met with an equal or greater benefit, okay, then you cannot help to learn or experience and be hopeful for the future. One of my managers used to say, life is a grindstone. It'll either grind you down or polish you up. Simple as that. How can we believe in ourselves unless we believe in a power greater than ourselves? And I'm not saying that, mankind we can't even understand everything around us. Things that baffles us as a society, I'm not saying that you should, and by the way, access up here, I'm not suggesting that you join any particular religious organization or any particular group of people, anything like that. I'm just saying that you have to believe that there's got to be a higher power than what I am and what you are, in the world. If you don't believe in that, then it's hard to achieve, because sometimes things happen that's hard to explain, and you got to feel like that you put yourself in the right place at the right time to have the right things happen. Now, let's skip the picture, okay? Also tell you guys that, actually I put that in the wrong page. Okay. Point number 9, dealing with critics and rejection. Dealing with critics and rejection, one of my favorite ones. They say everyone is a critic. That never seems more than when you're pursuing a dream and trying to enlist support from others. There'll always be well-meaning people who will tell you that, that you're looking at unrealistic fantasies. And write this in your notes, the only opinion about your dream that really counts is yours. The negative comments of others merely reflect their limitations, not yours. The negative comments of others merely reflect their limitations, not yours. And to me, there's nothing unrealistic about a dream that aligns you with your purpose, ignites your passion, and inspires you to plan and persevere until you attain it. On the contrary, I think it's unrealistic to expect a person with such drive and commitment not to succeed. And I will give you some examples of some people who were critics and the people that they gave advice to. How long will you go on training all day long in a gymnasium and living a dream world? Arnold Schwarzenegger's family told him. Liquidate the business right now and recoup whatever cash that you can. If you don't, you're going to end up penniless. That was the attorney for cosmetics tycoon Mary Kay asked before she started Mary Kay Cosmetics, which, by the way, is now $1 billion industry. You can pay you can't play the piano, and God knows you can't sing. You better learn how to weave chairs so you can support yourself. That was a comment by Ray Charles's teachers. You have a nice voice, but there's nothing special about it. What a high school teacher told Dinah Ross when she auditioned for a school musical. You'll never make the cover of Vogue, okay, because you don't have blonde hair or blue eyes. That's why there's photographer Richard Avedon told Cher, when she did appear on the cover of Vogue, they sold the most issues ever. You're foolish to try to sell sparkling water in the land of Coca-Cola. That's the advice that people gave, Justin Levin when he tried to sell Perrier in America, which today, if you'd have told me 35 years ago that we would buy water, I would tell you that you're nuts. Nobody makes a living playing a guitar, John Lennon's aunt. The problem with these kind of people is that they just don't understand the desire of people. For example, no one will buy a tape player that doesn't record. That's what the people told Jane Fonda when she sold her exercise thing back in the 60s and the 70s, whenever it came out. Personal computers are a hobbyist fad. There's no market for them. Thank you. Okay. And on it goes. And the last one, a global news network 24 hours a day? That's ludicrous. Told to Ted Turner when he started CNN. There's no market for it. If there were, the airlines would already be offering it. That's what they told Fred Smith when he started, FedEx. Now, point number 9, dealing with critics, we've done that one. Point number 10, dealing with experts. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there's only a few. Another type of critic, and certainly more threatening, is the expert. Webster defines an expert as one who is knowledgeable through training and experience. An expert can certainly be more intimidating than your Uncle Joe, who knows nothing about your field but knows why and how you should do it. Expert knowledge is based on past experience. It may not apply to an innovative idea of the future. Experts seldom are known for their creativity or their imagination. Pioneers and innovators use their intuition. Experts use data. And Peter Drucker once said, you cannot do market research on something that does not exist. Dreamer's domain is at the unproven and possible, and that's alien territory to the expert. People like Steve Jobs, Facebook, Google, those people were told time and time again, are you crazy? This is not going to work. Yep, look where they are today. Experts, by the way, and think about this, experts have a vested interest in preserving the status quo. Think about that for a second. The expert has a strong desire to persevere and validate the present way of doing things, since they have an ego investment in the very thing they're considered to be an expert at. So if they should invest in its destruction, then they're assets destroying their own credibility. And I laugh at how many times I've heard someone sitting in a room in meetings in my life, both inside and outside Vector, how many times I've heard a person say, we've always done it that way. And I had someone give a response to that, and that's exactly why we shouldn't do it that way anymore, because we can improve, we can get better. Okay. So action step. Next time an expert attacks your dreams, take comfort in realizing that people who achieve some of the greatest accomplishments in the world were once told they were impossible. So believe in yourself, and there will come a day where others will have no choice but to believe in you. I'm going to wrap up with some final thoughts for you. Have a growth mindset. I know that Trey's going to come up and talk to you guys about what the next 10 days is going to hold for you. And I think if you guys will just dig in and go for it, you'll be glad you did. Have us aware, and I learned this, a couple thoughts I learned in a meeting a couple weeks back in Nashville. Have an awareness of what you don't know. The more I learn, the more I realize I have more to learn. Don't be afraid to take a chance. Be scared that that chance might not ever come around for you again. If you want your life to be different, then learn to do something different. The number one key to success, people always ask you, what's the number one key to success? It's what you do. It's what you do. It's as simple as that, okay? And I'm going to leave you with a mathematical formula. It's going to take about 3 minutes. And John, I can't remember who I got. I think it was from Dan Cassettas who we got this from, okay? Every day in your life, and I'm going to just borrow the border. Every day in your life, at the end of that day, you're either going to have a +1 because it's a good day, or you're going to have a -1 because it wasn't such a good day. It's as simple as that. Does that make sense? So at the end of the week, guys, you're going to add it up. And if you have +4, 4 good days that week, and you have 3 not so good days, then your net is +1. But think about this. What if you could change that? What if you went from a +4 to a +5? You increase just 1 day, now you have a -2, but look at this, you triple your results. Think about that. If you can turn 1 day from negative to positive, think about the impact that's going to have on your business. I learned that from one of the greatest mentors we have in our business, a young man by the name of Dan Cassetta, and I hope that you guys get a chance to hear from him. So I'm going to leave you with that thought, guys. I hope you have a great push. Look forward to seeing you on stage in about 10 days. Thank you.
All right. All right, guys, so we've had some great messages so far. I think everyone needs to get a little bit loose. Everybody stand up real quick. Let's get some energy in here. And, you know, shake around. Give your guy next to you a high five. Back rub if they need it. Let's stretch. Hop around if you need to. All right.
Yes. And you that's what you got to do this week. You should go. Well, technically, yeah, because I didn't say anything last.
All right, everybody take a seat. Take a seat. Quick break. Quick break.
That was so short.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Don't worry. We can break after. We can break in Mexico. How about that?
That's right.
Always. All right, guys. So if I could have your attention, the first thing that I would like to talk about or recognize is the current speakers so far. I feel like, you know, we've had a lot of people take time out of their day to make sure that they gave you the goods. So let's go ahead and give a round of applause for everybody who's spoken so far. Thank you. And before Trey comes and talks to us about how to have a 10K push, which is why we're here, I want to talk to you guys about Mexico. So, you know, I've been with this company for 4 years, and I feel like every time I come to one of these meetings, it still shocks me to see every type of opportunity that we have. And you have to think about how many people grow up in an area or an environment where they never get an opportunity like that. And it's awesome to see. And even though I've experienced that opportunity in different parts of our business, it's a great reminder, you know, every single time I come to one of these meetings. You know, when Trey at the very beginning talked about the opportunities that these young college students have had, like Josh being able to graduate debt-free, it's awesome to know that we have that opportunity. So first off, who in here was recommended by a buddy? Raise your hand. They are the reason why you're here today. And honestly, I feel like you shouldn't have to have an incentive to give somebody an opportunity like this. But our company is awesome, and they've added that extra incentive. So I want to talk to you guys real quick, just quick 5-10 minutes about Mexico and how to hit it. So first off, as you guys know, we're going to Mexico. It's basically the Cancun of the west side of Mexico, Puerto Vallarta. I'm excited about it. And this is actually the first time our company has ever went to this place. So it's new and it's all inclusive. So who in here has ever been to maybe the beach or something with your family before? Cool. All right, I want to explain. This is not that. Okay, this is not going to the beach with mom and dad. Okay, it's an all-inclusive resort. Everything is paid for. You get to meet and mingle with the top people in our company. This is an amazing thing that's not just for fun, and you know, it can be something more than that, but obviously we have a good time too. It's in October when all your buddies are going to be freezing their butts off. You're going to be getting a tan in Mexico. So I want to talk to you guys about how, and as you guys know, everyone's already seen this on how to hit Mexico. I don't need to go like into the numbers or anything like that. You got to get 8 friends. Who in here has less than 8 friends
ever. Okay, I didn't think so. So it should be it's easy. It's just amount of effort. So I've been on trips in the past with this company. I've been to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic, all inclusive. It was ridiculous. We ordered everything on the menu at like 2 in the morning just because we could. You know, no particular reason. I think I fell asleep before it even got to the room. It was just amazing that everything is free. I've been to the Cayman Islands, and we got to swim with stingrays that were like amazingly huge, and we went and did some awesome like snorkeling in the reef, and that was cool to say that we did that with the company. Not every company, hardly any companies actually do stuff like that, and you definitely don't want to take that for granted. You know, as far as our teams, a lot of our teams are based on building the team on you guys. So who in here has recommended a buddy for the position before? Raise your hand. Okay, cool. Probably the same hands of people that are in this room right now because of a friend. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit about where our team is right now and where it can build to. So first off, I know we have a lot of our guys from Macon here, like Travis, for example. Travis is already about to hit Mexico, and we still have plenty of time to go. And we've got Marshall, who's already over like 3, Jeremy's over 3, Zach's over 4, and they're all going to be going to Mexico with me, and that's exciting to hear. So we've built. So if you want to write down how to hit the trip, there's 2 basic ways to hit the trip. It's very, very simple. I don't care how cool or uncool you think you are. It is not about how many buddies that you have. It's really just amount of the effort that you want to put in if you really want to go to Mexico or not. So obviously you recommend your buddies, your friends that you really know, right? Those are the easiest ones. So number 1, guys, number 1 way to hit the trip is to just call a friend and get them into an interview, okay? So I think everybody in here, if you would have been told, hey, Adi, you're going to get a call today, and they're going to show you how to sell knives in people's homes. If you would have heard that, you would have been like, what? But then what happened once you saw the interview? You saw the product, you saw the programs, and you realized this is legit, and this is something, you know, that is a great, great opportunity. So your job is just to get them in front of the manager, in front of the recruiter. And once that is done, your job is done, and they will count for you for Mexico. And also, they could even go to Mexico with you. So your friends, that should be easy. But I want to talk to you guys about a second way to hit Mexico, and it's through Facebook. And this is actually how Travis has gotten so far. No offense, Travis, you're kind of a weird guy. And I think that if Travis can do it, I know that anybody in this room can do it. It is not a matter of calling you out a little bit.
Of my 6.
We're your friends. I got it. We have a new program, and many offices in our company have been doing something over Facebook where you actually can recommend people who you don't even know very well, but still will count to you for Mexico. Marshall has actually gotten somebody named Melissa from Mercer, who I interviewed yesterday, who will count towards Mexico for him, who he didn't even know. He just reached out to her over Facebook because she looked like a sharp girl, and now she's coming into training. It is that simple. So talk to your manager, guys, and you can find out a way to hit it. It is super, super easy to hit, and build your army. So who in here wants to win a trophy at SC1? That'd be pretty cool. All right. Who in here wants your office to win a trophy at SC1? Okay, cool. I don't know if anybody else in here is competitive, but I want you to win a trophy, but your office needs to win a trophy too. That feels good to take home a trophy as the office. And SC1 is one of those things where normally when your team is the biggest team, you guys take home the trophy. So if you guys want to help out the team, build a team. Build a team with everybody around you, sharp, knife-selling machines. And you guys can take home a trophy yourselves too. So again, I didn't want to go over all of the details, but guys, when you have a big team, things are fun. We do some weird stuff in our office. We got Nerd Day. That was just weird. We've done Sports Day. We've done Casino Night. And when you have a big team, things get really exciting. I know some of you guys are on a small team right now just because it's the very beginning of the summer. But SC1 is coming up, but what kind of army are you going to bring to SC1? What kind of buddies are you going to bring? It's all up to you. Again, I believe this opportunity is so amazing, you shouldn't have to have an incentive to actually recommend your friends, but to give the incentive of, oh, I get to help my buddies out with the best opportunity at any age, this age could anyone ever have. Oh, and I also get to go to Mexico with them too. It's going to be awesome. So what I want to do in a second is I'm going to pull up Trey, and Trey is going to talk to you guys about the reason why we're all here. I know you guys didn't come here to learn about Mexico. This is the Alliance meeting, and these right here, look around the room, guys. This is your team members, but this is also your competition too, right? We're a competitive business, and Trey is going to talk to you guys about how to have a 10K push and on being on the Alliance and things like that. Is Trey ready yet, or do we need to? Hey Trey, are you ready? Told me to make it real fast. Go grab Trey real quick, please. Everybody write down 10K Alliance.
10K Alliance, I got it.
Trey has helped so many people become an amazing player in our organization through a 10K Alliance. I know a lot of you are thinking, man, is there really a possibility that I could make 2, 3, 4, 5 grand in just a short period of time? I haven't even sold that much yet, right? So Trey is the man. Trey is going to tell you guys how to do that. So whatever level of attention you guys have given so far, this is the meat and potatoes of today. This is the reason why you're here. Let's give our fearless leader a round of applause, Trey Ketchum.
All right, guys, we're going to go quick. Is that cool with y'all?
Yes.
All right, so this is going to be a lot of material, a lot of information, a lot of handouts. Okay, this will be stuff that is going to be homework. A lot of this is going to be stuff you're going to need to do leaving this meeting. You're going to take a few notes here. Most of it's going to be things you need to do to prepare yourself and equip yourself to make sure that you get your business where you want it. So the first thing I want to help you guys do, who in here would like to be able to learn how to get an extra 300 to 500 additional appointments? All right, sweet, got it. So here's what we're going to do. Take one, pass this down. This is how to build a massive attack list of 300 to 500 new people. If we can teach D and Shelby some new tricks here, we'll really make some moves. So, all right. So guys, yeah, usually I do them in columns, so go back.
Well, you know.
All right. Have you being weird again, bud? Is that what's going on?
Yes.
Just making sure. Stay weird, baby. Stay weird. What are you doing? Yeah, the normal ones are the ones that end up being lame. So. Yep. I actually just saw a video of Justin Timberlake, considered a pioneer of style and cool, said that he was a weirdo when he was young, and it worked out all right for him. So Jessica Biel thinks so. So what's that? You could be on well, you can get a lot more than that, my friend. All right, so here's how to build a massive attack list. First things first. Remember, guys, if you don't see somebody, somebody else will. That's one of the that's the most important thing you keep out. I can't tell you how many times I'll work with a new representative when they're sitting there and they're working. We need some more. How many more?
Yeah, I can make copies.
Okay. Yes. Can you make copies of yours? Thank you. All right. So everybody you know will eventually see Cutco. It's not a question as to whether or not. Turning the lights off in this place. All right. You know what? Oh. Hey, did somebody decide to plug in a heater? Jenny.
It's very romantic.
Thank you.
I like this all.
Turn the lights out in this joint.
Where's the music?
Hey, let's not plug any heaters in ever again in my office. Wear blankets, build a teepee.
It's summer.
Yeah, it's summer, right? I'm fired up in here already. All right, so